And we're live, baby. It's pay-per-view fight week. First time in Hey Jive Picks YouTube channel history. We're bringing a guest on. So I had to call my boy, Lucrative James, the man, the myth. He gives out breakdowns on his channel. Very solid breakdowns. One of the guys I respect in the game. So I had to bring him on. And I want to start doing this more on the channel. So, James, tell the people who you are. I'm sure many people that are joining in today already know who you are, but we got a big card to break down. I can't wait for this Saturday. How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, brother. Hello to you and all of your audience. First things first, if I'm the first ever guest that's come on your show, very much appreciated, brother. Thank you for giving me your platform. I'm going to make sure that I come with crazy sauce, crazy picks, and a lot of winning bets this week because, you know, we have to do it right if I'm the first ever guest on your show. So excited to get into it, my man.
Yeah, so basically what we do on Tuesdays is we go over the entire fight card. We basically come down to, you know, the betting angle, talk about a little bit the fight, and then look at some of the betting angles. You don't have to give out anything. I usually don't give out anything, but we just kind of try to break it down as best as we can, the angles we're eyeing up. And then, of course, you know, Friday, we got our long shots only live show. So we could throw out some long shots. If you want to give some long shots now, if you're already eyeing up anything, we could give it out now, or any leans that you got going on. But it's early in the week. You know, there's not exactly tons of prop bets out there. You're probably not getting the best of it if you're locking in anything unless you get it right away. But we're going to go through the whole card. We'll usually start from the bottom to the top. That's what the chat usually likes. But we're going to allow, you know, some people to get in here. What time is it your time? Because you're out in New Zealand still, right? Usually
yeah,
on
bro. Yeah. I'm in Auckland, New Zealand right now. It's just turned midday, 12 p.m. There's a storm brewing outside, but I'm locked in with you, ready to go. What time is it where you're at?
7 p.m. Central Time. So I'm in Wisconsin right now, which is Midwest of the United States.
Yeah, like an hour away from a gym, you was telling me.
Yeah, dude. I'm like,
what the fuck?
The nearest city, like nearest major city is Madison. So it's like an hour 15. So if you want to go to any major city where I'm at right now, you're going to travel over an hour. Milwaukee's probably 3 hours from me. And then Chicago's like 3.5, something like that. So that's where I'm at right now. But in the next couple months, I'm going to be moving closer towards Milwaukee. So I'll be near more gyms. There's actually a guy on the card, Mark Choinski from Rufusport in Milwaukee. So that's not too far from where I'm about to be living. And I'm actually going to Milwaukee this Saturday. I'm going to go to the casino in Milwaukee, Potawatomi. They got a nice sports book. So I got my ticket. I'm going to, you know, crash there at the sports book all Saturday night. They're probably going to hate me unless I'm losing a lot of money. Then they're going to love me. But that's not the plan. We're going in there trying to make a lot of money. So, you know, they're probably going to hate me.
We're cashing this weekend, bro. I can feel it already. I actually taped this entire card last week. So I was like 2 weeks in advance. So this is a big one for me, man. I'm locked in, man. It's sink or swim, you know. So I'm hoping we're going to swim. You
are prepared. We're going to hit the chats right here. Jonathan, how we doing, brother? Let's go. UFC San Antonio is, Noche UFC. Two GOATs. Go Packers, baby. Central Gang, stand up. How we doing, Olajuwon? Olajuwon's always in the chat. Hopefully nobody I bet on is in his many-men parlay. Well, the many-men parlay has hit twice in a row. If you're on the IG and you tail the many-men parlay, we're 2-0, which is it's never really happens because I hate making 3-leg parlays. I'm not a big 3-leg money line parlay guy because I tend to go, you know, try to find the dogs. I'm not a guy that's going to be laying a lot of chalk. And the rules for the many-men parlays, they have to be men. And they have to be like a favorite. So that kind of limits yourself when you're going on a card with like 3 women's fights. You got like 6 guys to choose from. And, you know, I don't really feel great about that. So there are rules to it. So that's why I say never tail it. Paul, how we doing? Start with the picks. Let's go. Hey, let's just get into it, man. Let's just get into it. I think we're just going to go bottom to top. How do we feel about that? Bottom to top?
I'm ready, bro. Well, whatever you want to do, man. This is your show.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to pull up the fight right here, and then we can kind of talk about it a little bit, and then we could, you know, go to another tab onto Bet Online and look at the odds. But first fight of the night looks like it's going to be Quill and Salkilld and Yanal Ashmouz. based on the UFC.com website. I don't know how accurate that is. They usually like to mix up some stuff, but Salkilld gave Anshul Jubilee everything that he needed in that one, which was a round 1 knockout and a little bit of humbling because he said some stuff about how he was going to be the Indian Habib or whatever. But that's Anshul Jubilee that gets his UFC debut out of the way. And then we got our boy JB in here, Yanal Ashmouz, on a bounce back win against Trevor Peek his last time out. I'm not super high on Yanal, but at least he seems like he has a decent overall game. I would probably chalk up Salkilld as the guy with the higher ceiling, but it doesn't really matter on this given night. Anybody can win. Salkild's looking at a minus minus 450 right now. I'm just going to pull this up because we don't need to look at their faces anymore. Hopefully, how do I make this bigger? I wish I could make this bigger.
Can you drag it?
Then I bounce it off you.
Can you drag it? Drag it. Try drag it. Like on the StreamYard screen.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
It's not bigger.
Is it? Oh, wait, hold on. I just got to save it. There we go. It's going to overlap a little bit. Should be good. Update.
There we go. Yeah.
That's better. All right, so we got Salkilld minus 450, Ashmouz plus 350. I don't know about you, but it seems a little bit wide for a guy that's, best UFC win is Anshul Jubilee. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny because his best UFC win is Anshul Jubilee, but I don't think that's the best win of his career. His performance against Gage Young on the Contender Series was really, really solid, man. Just not exactly how the fight went, but just the amount of output he was able to throw. I don't remember off the top of my head the amount of strikes he threw, but he threw a lot of strikes, man. And I don't remember the amount of takedowns that he attempted, but I know it was in the double digits. So anytime you're, double-digit takedowns in his weight class, it puts me on notice. Like, okay, and by the way, he's got elite takedown, elite cardio, right? Like, so even in round 3, he's pushing forward while throwing 100 strikes and 15 takedowns, right? And I'm like, okay, this guy could be a prospect. 25 years old, I believe. Seems like he's getting better every fight. It seems like a big price tag, but I don't see Yanal's path to victory in this one, to be honest. And JB's my boy, man. So it hurts me to say this, but I think he's going to get finished or dominant decision. I will say that Yanal is one of the toughest guys I've seen in the octagon. If you remember his fight against Chris Duncan, he broke his arm pretty early in that fight. It was visibly broken. Everyone knew it. The commentary kept saying it the entire fight. It was obvious. He was literally holding it like that. It was down by his hip. He didn't throw it at all. And the guy lasted to a decision against someone who just finished Balaji Oki and, someone who hits pretty hard himself. So, he's got finish on Contender Series and hurt Slava and stuff. So I think that showed me a lot about his toughness. But at the end of the day, I don't see his path to victory here. I mean, maybe he can land a big KO, but outside of his KO against Sam Patterson, he hasn't really shown much power, in my opinion. You go back and see his regional scene fights. He's grappling guys. He's taking them down. He's landing KOs, but they're from ground and pound. They're not on the feet. So I just don't know where Yanal has the advantage in this fight. It seems like Quillen has the advantage everywhere. And while Yanal might be able to compete, I don't think he can win this one, man. So I got Salkilld pretty comfortably. I guess decision, but I wouldn't be surprised with a late finish, maybe round 2 and round 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to knock him out. I mean, I think Ashmouz is pretty tough. I was maybe eyeing, some kind of submission prop for Salkilld just because it seems like, it's a path that he kind of wants to go down. He got a couple takedowns on, was it like 8 takedowns on Gage Young or something like that? He took a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And he shot so much more as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think Ashmouz has like much to throw out there on the feet. He was even, looking just to grapple up Trevor Peek. So maybe if Ashmouz wants to grapple here, then Salkilld can make him pay. What's that? Salkilld subs plus 335. I kind of agree with you. The decision's probably most likely. What do you think about the fight to go? Minus 140?
I personally don't like it just because I rate Salkilld quite highly.
Yeah.
Based on my breakdown, you could probably tell. So I don't want to like bet on this guy. If I'm saying he's minus 500, I don't want to bet on him to go to a decision because
Yeah.
if he's minus 500, he's probably going to be whooping ass, But I wouldn't mind like submission round 2 and round 3 because it's probably not going to come in round 1. So, maybe you can bump up the price there. But Bet Online also has terrible prices, man. So I don't know what we're going to get. Yeah, we might get some, when it releases today or tomorrow, we might get a much better price.
Much better. At least this will give us like a ballpark of like what it could possibly be. But I remember the last fight at Salkild's fight when he fought Jubilee. I played the over 2.5. I was like, you know what? I'm not really, too keen on Salkilld. I think Jubilee could give him a decent run here. I don't think he's, chinny by any means. He just gassed out his last fight. Then he just gets bonked in 20 seconds. So I'm not really going to go the over 2.5 in this one. I could tell you that. And I kind of agree with you, Salkilld, at minus 450. It's tough to really find a path for Yanal Ashmouz outside of WrestleFuck, but I don't really see that happening. So yeah, I'm with you. Let's hit the chat a bit before we hop into the next one. Lots of live underdogs. The Jewish guys cooked because they don't do their jobs as much on fight nights. They just be making odds, I swear. Lucrative and Hey Job, what a sick crossover, says the It Factor MMA. I'm sorry, you were gonna say something. I'll let you go.
No, I was just gonna say I was with you on losing the Jubilee versus Salkilld fight. So I bet Salkilld to finish him. So great pick by me. But I bet him to finish him in round 2 and round 3 like a moron. So 19 seconds into the fight and he finishes him. And I've done this a lot this year, so I need to get better, man. I'm betting on these fighters to finish in 2-3, and they just run them over in round 1, man. It's happened so many times this year to me. Like I keep losing money.
It's so sad, dude. That's like the worst. The Jasmine against Jessica Andrade.
I did that. Right? That's another one I did.
Yeah, at least I played the fight doesn't go the distance, but I was like, come on, Jessica, you couldn't last a round against Jasmine. Like, what are we doing here?
Crazy.
All right, let's get to the next one. We're going from poor Yanal Ashmouz to Jekka Saragih and Jusang Yu. I mean, I don't know if you were on the train with everybody that cashed in on Weston Wilson by sub against Jekka. Yeah. You were?
Yeah. Round 1 sub, bro.
Those were scenes, man. Those were absolute scenes. I mean, Weston Wilson was an absolute like meme guy. And it was like, you know what? I mean, he's got some subs. He's kind of tall. He's long. If Jekka throws something crazy, falls down, Weston could snatch something up. And he did. And it was really because I think Jekka shot a takedown on him or something like that. I think Weston came out, looked for the takedown, couldn't get it because his wrestling sucks. And then Jekka like shot a takedown on him and then just ended up in a triangle. And Weston's kind of nasty on the ground a little bit. But Jusang Yu, I'm sure you've watched some tape on the guy. I watched a little bit. The guy is like weird to me. He's obviously unproven. I mean, he's 8-0. I don't really think he's fought any of the best competition. But when I watch him fight, I think he's like a solid striker who has some grappling, but it looks like at times he can be, stalled up against the cage. Looks like he's trying to defend takedowns. He gets pushed up against the cage a little bit. And it looks like, he has enough skills to beat a guy like Jekka, but Jekka is going to be counted out here. I mean, he's the bottom of the barrel. He's lost to Anshul Jubilee and Weston Wilson, but he does have some power in his hands. He does throw some nice straight shots. He's, what is he, plus 350 right now? Do you see anything that would get you towards the dog here or what? Like, I'm not playing the favorite by any means at minus 500. I'm just not really on that kind of trajectory with my bets. But is there anything that in plus 350 with Saragih that you could see?
So I'm going to go with a favorite again, right? And I'm not, just a little disclaimer, like I'm not the biggest favorite better. To be honest, I mainly play underdogs. But what I like to do is I like to parlay some of these favorites and I like to straight bet some of these underdogs, right? Which is like a lot of people do that, right? It's kind of like even you could call it a casual strategy, but it's worked very well for me. So every single week when I look at the board, I'm like, okay, who do I want to parlay and who do I want to avoid parlaying? Because it's all well and good parlaying favorites. It's easy, right? Like most of them are going to cash at minus 400. The trick is taking out the ones that are not going to cash. That's the hard part, right? And when I look at this fight, I don't see you not cashing. Now, the way I see him not cashing is that he's never fought in the UFC level before. He's making his debut. So maybe he's having which happens to a lot of people, octagon jitters. You know, I call it UFC debut jitters, where they come in and they lay an egg on their first fight. Daniel Zellhuber against Trey Ogden comes to mind, right? There's many, many others as well. Like Daniel Zellhuber probably beat the fuck out of Trey Ogden today, but when they first fought debut, he didn't perform well. So maybe Yu's not really built for it, and in a debut he underperforms. But like you said, man, Jeka Saragih has lost now to two losses under the UFC banner, right? It was Road to UFC and then the UFC, which is Weston Wilson and Anshul Jubilee. I think it's going to be very hard for you to find two worse losses from an active UFC fighter than those two guys. I mean, losing to Jubilee and Weston Wilson, both inside the distance, you got finished by both of those guys. I think it's very telling. When I watch the tape on you, I feel like he's a good fighter. You know, he passes the eye test to me. He's a Korean zombie guy. The reason he got signed is because they obviously see his potential, but he was on not a reality TV show, but he was on one of those Dana White's talent shows. If you've seen them before, like Looking for a Fight, but I don't think it was Looking for a Fight. It was like one of these Asian ones on the Korean zombie promotion. And he won, he impressed Dana White. And so they signed him. And I honestly feel like he can do something in the division. I think he can get wins in the UFC level. He's a little bit cocky on the feet, you know, so he fights with his hands down. He reminds me of Conor McGregor a little bit, not in his skill set, but just the way he fights. So that could be trouble because one thing that Conor does is get hit on the chin a lot, man. People don't realize it, but he does. And that's what you does as well. He fights with his hands down. And if Saragih has anything, it's power in his hands. So maybe Saragih could land a knockout. But I honestly think, you know, outside of a round one knockout, which is 17-1. So if you want to play Saragih, maybe just play that 17-1, which I believe is his win condition. If he doesn't hit a round one knockout, I think the guy's cooked. Personally, I feel like Yu's going to basically style on him on the feet, box him up a little bit, maybe get caught with a shot, take him down, submit him. I think he can win inside the distance, KO, submission, or decision. So I think he covers his line here.
Yeah, I mean, I think instantly when I was watching tape on him, I was like, if this guy has any type of submission game, then I might want to play the submission prop. And when I saw the prop, I was like, what is this prop? 275 for a guy that's not really looking for subs. I was like, it's not really that great, but you know, the inside the distance is probably the way. What about the under 1.5? I mean, I got burned on the under 1.5 last week, which absolutely just scars me. It scars me. Whenever I lose an under 1.5 that I pay chalk for, I'm like, I don't want to do this again the next week. But
what one? Dusko.
Yeah, Dusko and Zach Reese, dude.
That was a bomb burner round one as well. And then they kind of
it was. I was like, Dusko, lock in the choke, man. Like you're probably a decent grappler. I don't think Zach Reese is some amazing grappler. Like, just lock something in or throw some ground and pound, dude. Like, just get him out of there. I mean, then this one, I'm like, Saragih, like you said, it's probably around 1K or bust. But, you know, maybe he could hang around past the 1.5 mark. So I'm not really trying to go down that train again. But, I mean, is this another 2-3 angle for you or what?
Yeah, I feel like he will finish him, but I can't trust Saragih to survive to round 2, you know, because, bro, he's so bad on the ground, you know, like all respect to him, but he's so bad on the ground. I mean, Weston Wilson subbed him in 1. I wouldn't be surprised if you subbed him in 1. Why not? I mean, it's not like he hasn't got the skill set to survive on the ground with many people. So it's just tough, man, to play the 2-3. The under 1.5 is also, I honestly feel like it's equally possible that it finishes in round 1, 2, or 3. So there's no point in me getting cute with the props.
I feel that. All right, let's hit the chats. I'm with you on that one. I mean, I wouldn't really play Drew saying you at minus 450 just because that's not really the way that I like to go. UFC debuts, I'm not with it, but you know, I'm not really going to be excited to bet Jeka by any means. Jeka has KO power, absolutely. Palestine is not a real. Ha ha ha. Don't know what that means, but shout out to Jorik Vortanov for the $10. Sup, boys? Does James have 1-year subscription for MMA Group? You could tell him, James. I can't answer
that. Yeah, I know Jorik. He's commented on a few of my videos. Shout out to you, my man. I do have a 1-year subscription. If you want, you can sign up. Just follow my social media.
Paul Verrett is not a real. Sean Shelby's in the chat. Jekka lost because his opponents had height and took him down. If Jew engages in striking, it's going to be a problem. I mean, I wouldn't really say Jekka's like some amazing striker. He just has some power in his hands. Like, I mean, watching him against Jubilee on the feet, I was like, I mean, he didn't really. I mean, he was up a weight class though, wasn't that with 155?
It was 155.
Yeah, it was up a weight class, so you got to give him a little slack, but still Jubilee. Hit Reese decision at plus 1,000. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you were throwing money on Reese decision, I mean, you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself. You might think you're a genius. Of course you did, LOL. All right. Well, here we go. We got the next one here. We got Cong Wang and Ariane Lipski. I'm not going to call her Ariane De Silva because she's always going to be Ariane Lipski to me. I don't know about you, but I think Cong Wang is a special talent, dude. Like, she is one of the cleanest, most thought out strikers that I've seen. And she has shown that she can get a little bit overzealous. I mean, she basically lost that fight with Gabriela Fernandez or whatever, because she got a little bit too overconfident. She got cocky. And I don't know if you've watched that fight back, but I watched it, I think it was yesterday. And she literally got caught with the head kick, got like dropped, and then she got up right away and got in her face like she was just ready to keep throwing. I was like, you just got caught with a head kick. Why are you trying to engage? And then she got caught with the left hand, choked out. That's her only blemish. I think she's probably one of the best strikers in the division, but, you know, she's a huge price tag in this one. Rightfully so. I've always thought Ariane Lipski's a little bit underrated. You know, if she shows up with her best game, she can compete with a lot of girls, but it seems like at times, if things aren't going her way, she'll find the door out. Right now, she's looking at a plus 375 price tag, which is, you know, pretty high. But ultimately, I think Cong Wang probably pulls this one off. If she can, you know, get some momentum going into the second round, maybe she could break Lipski. I wouldn't blame anybody for taking a shot at Lipski at plus 375. Like I said, she's a good striker. Seems like she's improved some grappling. And Cong Wang, you know, her wins in the UFC, I don't think are that great. But just from the eye test, I think she's an amazing fighter. What do you think?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I fully agree with you, man. I feel like Cong Wang is legit striker and a very good MMA fighter. She gets love in the betting market, you know, which are the smart people. But in terms of the MMA community, I feel like she doesn't get enough love. Or maybe I'm just like a bit of a stan and I want to hear people rave about her like I rave about her. Because like you said, man, she's so controlled on her feet. She measures range beautifully. She can get a little bit overzealous at times and she's pretty cocky. So she starts to feel herself in there. You know, she dances about. She's like dancing, moving her shoulders a bit too much. And sometimes, obviously, that can bite you in the ass like it did against Gabriela Fernandez. She was beating the fuck out of Gabriela Fernandez before she got caught, man. She was styling on her, making her look like an amateur in there.
It was so easy. She had outstruck her like 40 to like 10 significant strikes. It was like, I mean, what was her live number? She had to be like minus 2,000 plus.
Yeah.
It just gets caught. That's MMA, but continue. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's MMA, man. But it is crazy that it happened like in the women's division because we don't really see that too often, you know, in the women's division where you just randomly get KO'd. But Gabriela Fernandez hits like a fucking truck, man. And it was a head kick, so it is what it is. But yeah, I feel like she's you know, she's probably going to smash Lipski, to be honest, man. I feel like she could even finish her. I'm very upset that they put the under 2.5 at plus 110. It's not, it's like, man, I thought it was going to get way better because obviously she went to a decision in her last fight. In her last fight, I played her again to win in round 2 or round 3. I love these 2 free shots. Yeah. I'm actually in profit on them overall, but lately they haven't been hitting. But I played her in 2 free and she kind of disappointed me there because she didn't push the pace. She was like staring a little bit. She was easily winning, but I felt like she could have got a finish. I do feel like because she's got that fight out the way now, maybe she's going to fight a little bit more aggressive in this one. Because obviously she was coming back from a brutal finish, right? So maybe she was a little bit patient in that fight, to which it looked like to me. Maybe she's a bit patient over Bruna Brazil because she didn't want to get head kicked again. I feel like she'll have a more confident performance here. And man, Lipski, we saw what happened when she fought Priscilla Cachoeira, you know, and I mean, Cachoeira is not a great fighter at all. And I do feel like Lipski is the type of girl that can get finished. She's been finished multiple times, mainly on the mat, but she has been finished on the feet before. And She got finished early on the feet. You know, Priscilla, Zombie Girl, knocked her out in like a minute. So I do think Cong Wang is going to get the finish in this one, man. I feel like she's going to get the finish, and I might even bet her to get the finish. I don't know what Cong Wang inside the distance prices are. I'm sure they're not going to be any better than the under, really, based on her being minus 500. But I would look that way. And I promise I'm going to give you some underdogs soon. But at the moment, I'm going to take all these big favorites because I just think they're going to get it done.
There's a lot of chalk on this card that I think probably comes through. Did I just mess that up? There we go. There's a lot of chalk on this card that I think probably comes through. There's not any props out for that fight right now. I don't know why it took them so long, you know, to get the money lines out too. I just saw the money line pop up today, and it seems like, you know, Wang Cong caught some steam, which is pretty fair. I'm with you. I think Cong Wang could get her out at 2-3. Like, if you give Lipsky the door, she'll take it. Like, if you start to put it on her, she will take it. She's been finished in 2-3, 3 or 4 times. And I don't think Cong Wang's ground game is like terrible either. I mean, she got a couple takedowns against Bruna Brazil. I remember everyone trying to tell me that Bruna Brazil was some live dog against her. I was like, what is Bruna Brazil going to do to this girl? Like, she has no pop on her shots. She can't take her down. Like, Cong Wang's going to style on this girl. And I was with you. I think I played. It was either Cong Wang inside the distance or the fight doesn't go. Yeah. And I was just pissed. It looked like she was trying not to do what happened in their previous fight, which was, you know, throw too much and then get caught with something. So, you know, maybe she does come with more confidence in this one, in her finishing abilities. But, you know, it's a step up in competition. So maybe it doesn't come that way. I would wonder to see what the 2-3 props are going to be for Cong Wang, considering the under 2.5 at plus 110. What do you think it's going to be, like 8-1 round 2? That
seems a bit big, bro. I reckon maybe like 5 or 6. They're getting sharper, bro. They're getting sharper these days, man. A couple of years ago, you know, you're getting 1,000, but they don't give you that anymore. So I don't know, but we'll see.
Man, you get anybody with like some cardio and some pace, like their round 2-3 props are just shit nowadays. Like, we'll talk about one coming up, the Joshua Van one. I saw those today. I was like, dude, these used to be at least 10-1, if not better. And then you just can't get anything nice nowadays. But
you know, when I realized the books were getting sharper was about 2 years ago when Peyton Talbot fought somebody in the UFC. And it was the first time I had ever seen a round 3 prop, which was worse odds than a round 2 prop. I'd never seen that, right? Because usually it's laddered, right? Like plus 400 round 1, 600 2, 800 3. So Peyton Talbot's a late finisher, and they knew that. And they had Peyton Talbot round 3 at like plus 600. And then round 2 was like plus 700. I was like, oh, shit. The books are getting super sharp now. And ever since then, the books are getting sharper. But so are we, man. So it's all good.
Was that the fight against Gamori or no? Was that against Barcelos?
No, it was before that. It was maybe the fight where he did finish in round 3, the submission, I think.
Oh, yeah. Aguirre or whatever.
Nicholas Aguirre. Yeah, Nick Aguirre.
Yeah, because I remember that the Gamori fight, and 2-3.
I bet 2-3.
Nothing, and then he just sparks him in round 1. I was like, of course. I don't think I played it, but you know, it was like, you know, everyone was gearing up for that 2-3 because it just seemed too free, you know. And then
bro,
round 1 happens. But all right, we'll hit some chats here. Paul Verrett, Lipsky tends to crumble, but she can also get some nasty subs. I don't think she's gonna sub Cong unless it's like unless she's rocked, you know, like the Fernandez type of thing. Wang Cong needs to show up with the Joker makeup again so she can get choked out again. Wow. I guess we got some Cong Wang haters. Except for Kevin O. Wang KO. I could see it. I also forgot about that Lipsky and Cachoeira fight. I remember playing Cachoeira, just being hyped that she got the KO. That was pretty early on in my content betting, you know, stuff. So early on in the MMA career. But let's get into the next one. Markel Mederos and the man I mentioned towards the top of the show, Mark Choinski, out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Rufusport. Milwaukee, stand up. Choinski, UFC debut. I believe he's 8-0, 9-0. Rufusport guy. He's been fighting Anthony Pettis FC, which is, it's an okay promotion. It's not the bottom of the barrel, but it doesn't really seem like he's faced anybody too great. Markel Mederos supposed to fight last week. I guess he got sick and then pulled out against Balagioki, and then it seems like he's okay. So maybe it was like a little flu or stomach bug or whatever, and he seems like he's okay. But that's something to take into account. He didn't cut weight because it was earlier on in the week. But either way, something to take into account there. Markel Mederos, I think, is a really fluid striker. He has, shown a little bit of ability to get wrestled up, where I think Choinski, who is a Division III All-American, 3-time Division III All-American at UW Oshkosh. Nowadays, I don't really put too much stock into the All-American wrestling status, but it is something that he can go to. When I was watching his tape, I don't know about you, but it didn't really seem like his wrestling was super dominant. Like, he can go to it, but Rufus Sport, they're mainly, I don't want to say mainly like a striking gym, but if you're a wrestler that has, some holes in your striking, they're going to be able to implement those striking abilities. And then it seems like they kind of get away from the wrestling a little bit. In this one, I think he's probably got to go to it. If he doesn't go to the wrestling here, like, I think Mederos is probably going to be able to, I don't want to say expose him, but he's probably going to be able to get the better of most of the exchanges, probably going to be more fluid, be out to the outside, better footwork, probably outpoint him for the most part. So personally, I think Mederos probably wins a decision, but if Choinski can get his wrestling going, and if he comes into this fight with a game plan of I need to wrestle this guy, it could be a little bit closer. Right now, it looks like the odds are going to be plus 180 for Choinski, minus 210 for Mederos. Next one, I promise you, I'm going to let you go first, but I've been kind of going first as we have been going through this. But what do you think about this one?
Yeah, so this is the first underdog I'm going to give you. I like the underdog in this one. I'm not saying I'm super, super confident. He's a pretty big underdog, 180 on Bet Online. I think there's even some bigger prices out there. But I just feel like this is a very close fight, man. I don't really see how you can get past minus 150, minus 170 for Markel Mederos. Mederos has gone to a very close decision in his last fight against someone who's not super high level in Austin Hubbard. And that was a fight that he arguably lost. It was a split decision. A lot of people scored the fight against him. It was a very close fight. The fight before that against Landon Quinones is another fight that he could have lost, right, under the UFC banner. So you could be looking at 0-2 for Markel Mederos, which I believe if he did go 0-2, the line would be dramatically different here. He would be fighting for his job, and Markel Mederos would be like a minus 135 because he's facing this guy in Mark Choinski, who's actually a pretty well put together guy. Like he's in his prime now. He's like 29, 30 or something like that. He's not a younger making his UFC debut. He's at Rufus Sport, like you mentioned. He's got great training partners in Christian Rodriguez, Hafion Stotts. He's been training with those guys for, many, many years. Great collegiate background, undefeated. So this guy's ready to go now. When I watch tape on these guys, Mederos is clearly the better striker. Choinski is clearly the better grappler. And I just feel like it's a back and forth competitive fight. Now, you said this is the X factor of the fight, Hajav, because, you mentioned that Mederos pulled out last week. So I'm going to read you right now what he said on his Instagram, because he posted up that he has to pull out of the fight, right? This was 6 days ago, only 6. I had to withdraw from this weekend's fight due to being seriously ill the last few days. I couldn't train, couldn't eat, and wasn't able to safely make weight or show up as the version of myself. This wasn't an easy call, blah, 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 right? So 7 days later, he's getting into the octagon against this undefeated guy who's got 15-minute cardio, is going to push. He's a better grappler than you, and who's got decent jiu-jitsu on top. That's the big X factor for me, man. I mean, if you're that sick that you have to pull out of a fight, that's not going to bode well 7 days later, because you're meant to be peaking, right? So he should have been peaking for 7 days ago. Now he hasn't even been able to train for how long do we know? I'm sure it wasn't 1 or 2 days. It was probably at least, 3, 4, 5 days or something like that. So he's had to pull out. Now he's going to be fighting 7 days later. He has to go for a weight cut again. He was obviously already starting to cut weight, maybe not a heavy weight cut, but he was starting to diet, everything like that. Your immune system drops. A lot of people get sick fight week because their immune system drops and stuff. So I don't know, man. This is a big X factor for me. And I usually don't, look at the outside of the octagon stuff too much. I'll watch the tape and I make my decision. But this is plain and simple, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the guy pulled out of the fight, bro. It's like if Macy Barber was going to fight again this week. Would you want to bet her? You wouldn't want to bet her. You wouldn't want to bet her, right? So
Right.
even I'm not saying that guarantees he's going to lose. What I'm saying is when I'm looking at the odds, if Mederos is minus 210, I think based on that Instagram post and him pulling out of a fight on fight week, now he drops from minus 210 and now he's minus 150. Automatically, to me, I think that he should be a less of a favorite simply based on that one Instagram post. And outside of that, I also think it's just a close fight, man. So yeah, I'll have some money on Choinski here. We'll see, man.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's a dog or pass. I wouldn't be one to laying minus 210 on Mederos. It was actually higher. I think it came down a little bit today, where Choinski was like plus 205 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So maybe some people are agreeing with you. I think most likely outcome is probably Mederos by points, which is where they have it. But, I'm not really excited about that by any means. I honestly think I was debating, playing Choinski on the money line. But personally, I don't know if you ever do the plus 3.5, but I think the plus 3.5 here is okay. Just because I think he could wrestle him up for a round. I don't think Mederos is some great finisher by any means. He's not really a guy that pushes a pace. Seems like more of a point fighter. And I think Choinski could probably get a round, if not win the fight. And, Choinski does have some solid submissions. If he gets him down to the ground, Austin Hubbard's not really a submission guy. He got him in some bad spots. Choinski's not a bad grappler. So I'm kind of with you with that. But anything else on this one? Otherwise, we'll hit the chats.
The only thing I'll mention a line movement. Mederos was minus 300 at one point, right? And I actually bet Choinski off screen at plus 270. So I'm speaking passionately, but I got plus 270. Now, I still think there's value up to plus 150 or something. And like I said, I don't think he should be more than 60%. But it is a bit of a different conversation, plus 180 versus plus 200, plus 270,
Yeah. Well, I hope Choinski pulls it off because he's a Milwaukee guy. Apparently, I actually did some deep study onto him because I was like, who is this guy? I haven't heard of him. And he had like a really rough upbringing in his childhood. Apparently, like his parents were drug addicts, so he was trying to walk to school in flip-flops in the winter of Wisconsin, which is like snows every day. It's cold as shit. So he's had a rough upbringing. I guess wrestling was his way to get out of it, and so he went to UW Oshkosh and got big into wrestling. Came an All-American, and then became an MMA fighter. So hopefully he comes through because I'm sure there'd be somebody in Milwaukee at Pato while I'm there cheering for him, and I would love to celebrate with them. So I'm with you. I think Choinski is the side here.
Let's go, bro.
Go back to that one. We'll hit the chats a little bit. Fabrizio is on the Choinski train as well. So what I'm hearing is Choinski is going to be another Strickland. He could be. He could be. I don't know if he's got all the stories that Strickland does about his childhood, but maybe. All-American. To be honest, I don't even know what All-American means in wrestling. But I just know it means you're a good wrestler. I was
what we need to know.
I was a Division III athlete as well, not in wrestling. I was in football and in Wisconsin as well. So I know Division III sports in Wisconsin, that's like the cream of the crop. So if you're a Division III All-American wrestler in Wisconsin, you're pretty good. Yeah, like D3. I don't know if you're familiar with American, colleges or anything, but like there's Division I obviously is like the best. Division II is the second best, but honestly, Division II and Division III is very comparable. Just Division II, you can give scholarships. So like some guys can go get a scholarship to be at D2, but at Division III, you're not going to get any money unless it's a private college. So in Wisconsin, there's only Division I. There's only like one college in Division I, and then there's a bunch of Division IIIs. So in Wisconsin, Division III like runs the whole D3. So we have like really good Division III sports programs. So that's why I would put a little bit of stock into him being an All-American. But considering what we've seen play out in the UFC as of recently, All-American wrestling doesn't really mean anything to me. But either way, it's a little feather in the cap. At least could give you something.
Yeah, and against someone like Mederos, it might mean something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Austin Hubbard's not a Division III All-American by any means. So, all right, let's get into the next one. We got Chaos Williams, Andreas Gustafsson, another guy that was supposed to fight last week. He did not pull out, though. Trevin Giles pulled out. Officer Giles was down, dude. He was down and out. Apparently, he fainted or something trying to make weight. Officer down. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but I believe he fainted trying to make weight, like hit his head, so he had to pull out of the fight the day of the weigh-ins. But Officer down, and Gustafsson didn't have a fight, but here he is against Chaos Williams. As I promised to you, I'm going to let you go first on this one. What do you think about this one, bro?
This is a funny one, bro. This is a funny fight because we got Chaos Williams, who was meant to fight. Who was Chaos meant to fight? Well, he wasn't.
Uros Medic.
Yes. So he was meant to fight Medic, and now he's meant to fight Gustafsson. And I feel like this fight's a lot easier for him just because Medic, hits very hard, good striker, probably a better striker than Williams. The reason the fight's funny is because of Andreas Gustafsson. I mean, this guy's a crazy motherfucker. Like, he fights like a lunatic, He fights he wants to get in your face, clinch you up, make it dirty. Kind of like if you imagine how Rene Derrida did the All-American Bo Nickel. That's kind of what Gustafsson wants to do, just at a way worse level, like a Timu version, because he's, nowhere near as big, nowhere near as physical. But he's still pretty dangerous, pretty physical for his weight class. I just don't think he can do it in the UFC, man. Honestly, I feel like his skill set is not going to translate in the UFC, man. This guy seems like someone who will try very hard, who maybe gets one win in the UFC, but it just gets knocked out multiple times, man. I mean, Gustafsson, he seems like he's got a good chin and he's very tough. But toughness can only take you so far. I have a very weird feeling about this fight. I don't have a good read on it. Oluwajan Dream in the chat saying, we know what Gus's game plan is. Yeah, this is an easy fight to break down in regards to the game plan. Gustafsson's going to walk forward, clinch up Chaos Williams, try and get him to the cage, and just knee him in the stomach, elbowing him in the head. And he's going to try and do that for 15 minutes. The thing is, man, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that in the UFC level. When you're fighting these regional bums, yeah, you can grab them, push them up against the cage and do what you want to them. But when you step up competition and fight people in the UFC, I mean, how many people really, outside of, the only one I can think of is Martin Bidet, but how many people in the UFC are really winning UFC fights by cage clinching and kneeing? It basically doesn't happen, except for unless you're Rene Derrida against Bo Nickel and then Martin Bidet at heavyweight. These are big motherfuckers. These guys are welterweights, not that big. Like, I just feel like Chaos Williams is going to be able to get the underhooks, peel off the cage, and land his shots. I feel like Chaos Williams will KO Andreas Gustafsson here, but I don't think I'll bet anything, man. Unless they give me a big price on Chaos KO, which I don't think they will. I'm not going to bet anything. I don't have a good read on it. Chaos isn't a high-level fighter himself. He's just very, very durable and hits very, very hard. But outside of that, he ain't really got much, man. And I don't know if he's fully all in on training. He seems, I don't know, man. I don't want to say anything about him like personality-wise, but he seems a little bit cocky. I don't know. He just gives me weird vibes. I don't think he's the highest level of fighter. I just think he's very tough, like I said, and he hits hard. So a pass for me, but I will pick Chaos KO because Gustafsson is just not good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a step down from Uros Medic at this point, right? Like, I mean, it's a completely different style, but Gustafsson, I think, like you said, I don't think he's going to have a bright future. I mean, he's 34 or something like that.
Yeah.
Coming into the UFC, making his UFC debut. I think it's going to be tough for Gustafsson to implement his game plan because Chaos is such a physical guy. I mean, look at him. I mean, he's a ball of muscle. And I think, like you said, he could dig those underhooks and get back to space. But Gustafsson is like, at least he knows his game, and he's just going to stick to it. So even if Chaos gets those underhooks, he's probably just going to keep trying to press his chest up against Chaos's chest and just try to stay close to him. So if they're in that range where Gustafsson wants to be, then, maybe it could tire out Chaos, as the fight goes on, because it seems like if Gustafsson's moving downhill, he's going to be the guy that probably has the better gas tank here, but Chaos has always shown a good gas tank. This is just a completely different fight than he's ever had. If they're at range, like, we all know what's going to happen. Gustafsson at range is an absolute bump. Like, the guy has some terrible striking. I mean, I watched a couple of his fights, and he was throwing overhands from, like, out in the parking lot and with no chance to happen. It was literally just to close range to get into the clinch. So I think, I mean, I don't really want to bet this fight as far as, who wins, because I think if Gustafsson gets his game going, it could maybe snowball to where he has some success, but I don't really trust it against a guy in Chaos who's had much better opposition in front of him. I don't think he's going to be able to implement the game plan and just take over the fight to where he's going to either get a late finish or win by decision. But when I look at the odds, man, I see this as a fight where two guys haven't been knocked out. Like, neither guy's ever been knocked out. Now, obviously, Gustafsson hasn't fought a guy with the power of Chaos Williams, but if he's going to go to his game plan, which is clinch him up early, I think we could see a lot of clinching early. They're probably both going to be pretty strong. I don't think Gustafsson's going to get into the clinch within the first couple minutes and just completely fall apart. Like, he's probably going to look for that clinch early. So personally, I think I lean to the over 1.5. Neither guy has ever been knocked out. Williams just got finished for the first time ever his last fight against Bonfim. It was a submission after the 1.5 mark, and I don't really think Gustafsson's much of a submission threat. So personally, I lean the over 1.5. I could even think maybe the fight goes the distance. I mean, Chaos is kind of a round 1 KO or it goes to decision. He's not a guy that really carries his power late into fights, unless I think he's maybe 1 third-round KO in the UFC. So, and I don't really think Gustafsson's going to like death gas by any means. So if this fight does play out in the clinch a lot, fight to go the distance at near plus 200 isn't too bad to me. And if Gustafsson does get his game going, maybe Gustafsson by points at plus 500, but personally, it's not really a strong read for me. I think it's overall more of a pass. I do kind of like the over 1.5, minus 155, just because I believe in both guys' durability. I don't think Chaos is going to be able to knock him out unless they are at range. I just don't think Gustafsson is going to give him the range early on in this fight. We'll see. Any more on this one?
No, I mean, the only thing I'll say is that Gustafsson, which I forgot to mention, was meant to fight Giles last week, as you said. And Gustafsson actually made weight, before that fight was cancelled. So he already made weight and he already did his cut. And now he has to do it again. So that could have.
He cut down to 180 though, because it was a catch weight.
Yeah, fair enough. True.
Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't help that obviously the double cut, but at least there's a 10-pound difference. Or I mean, he probably cut down to 181. Who knows? But at least it wasn't down to 170. So that helps a little bit. But there is part of that. I would want to ask a fighter, that has gone through that, where they have a fight that day, it gets canceled, and then they fight the next week. Like, what does that do mentally? What does that do to their body if they cut down all the way? It can't be good, right?
Definitely negative, right? Like, how much a negative, I don't know, but it's definitely a negative.
Yeah, definitely a negative. But let's hit these chats before we get into the next one, which I'm actually very excited to see what you got to say about this one. Olajuwon, we know Gus's game plan. Yeah. Sergio, how we doing, brother? Sergio, always in the chat. Not betting this one. Fair enough. Can't blame you. Sean Shelby says, Chaos has to be the side. At what point does UFC experience matters? But we don't know what Chaos we're going to get. That's very true. Apparently he has like some real estate thing in Michigan that I guess he makes some money off of that he doesn't really need to fight. But Dan Hamilton, they're both durable. I made a small play on the over. I would agree with that. Lucrative LFG. We got some lucrative love for pay it forward. Two really durable guys. Yeah. I don't think this is going to decision. Looks like a round 1 ending fight. I don't think if it doesn't end in round 1, I could see it going to a decision. I would just say that. Shout out to the Brewers. Shout out to the crew, bro. Chaos is not bringing the chaos this time. It does seem like Chaos is more of a composed fighter nowadays. I don't know if you agree with that, but like when he was against Bonfim, he like wasn't very aggressive whatsoever. I mean, Bonfim just kind of toyed with him, honestly.
Yeah, that was a bad performance.
Very bad. All right. I'm going to let you go first on this one again, but we got Waldo Cortes-Acosta coming off the win over Ryan Spann and the win over Rebelis de Spain, taking on Saragih Spivac after he got dropped. Well, he took down Jailton Almeida. He got swept. Yeah. And then they were back up on the feet, and then he got dropped and TKO by Jailton Almeida. So he's coming off a loss. Waldo coming off, a couple of wins. So he's got a little bit of momentum on his side. What do you think about this one, bro?
Yeah, so this is another dog. The dogs are going to start coming through now. So I like Waldo a little bit as the underdog in this fight. And so does the market. The price has dropped a little bit. He was plus 140, plus 150s about 4 or 5 days ago. In this one, it seems to me like there's one fighter who I can trust with my money, and that's Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I know that guy is never, ever going to give up on himself. He could be getting wrestled. He can be getting taken down. He could be getting his leg kicked off, badly brutalized by Marcos Rogerio de Lima, and he's still going to fight 15 minutes for my money. He's got elite cardio, Waldo, in my opinion, and Sergey Spivac's the complete opposite of that. Sergey Spivac is like the opposite fighter than Waldo Cortes-Acosta. First of all, Waldo's a striker and Sergey's a grappler. Second of all, Waldo's black and Sergey's white. Waldo, full head of hair, and Spivac's basically bald. And on top of that, Waldo is a dog, great heart. I don't think Spivac has that. Great cardio on the Waldo side. Spivac had this literally the polar opposite, If you said to ChatGPT, make me an opposite of this guy, is gonna make his opponent. And I honestly think that the side is gonna be the guy who's gonna fight for my money, who's got way better cardio, who has that dog inside of him. I just know that if Waldo's getting grappled for the first 1 or 2 rounds, he's not gonna give up, and he can get a knockout in round 3. I'm basically 100% sure that if Spivac loses the first 2 rounds, he's not going to win the 3rd round, there's almost no way in hell. You got to think, all of Spivac's wins, he's basically just dominated from the get-go, He's not really he's never come back. He's never put on a good 15-minute performance. I mean, let's go through his record. Where is his 15-minute performances? I've never seen him, He went to a decision with Alexei Olenek, who was 65 years old at the time, and it was a horrible fight. It was like a decision win. It was a horrible fight. They both looked terrible. He gassed badly after round 1. The Cyril Gane fight, I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's just a step down from Cyril, is what it is. But all of these fights, he's winning in round 1, man. Greg Hardy, Sakai was round 2, Derek Lewis, Marcin Tybura, which was a random armbar. I feel like if they run that back 100 times, that happens once or twice. I mean, it's all early wins. All of these other wins, anytime he goes late, he looks terrible, in my opinion. And I trust Waldo to survive. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think Waldo's getting finished in round 1 like all of Spivac's wins. So, yeah, I'm going with Waldo here. He is the much inferior grappler, right? And he has way less UFC experience and probably worse wins overall. So it could be a levels thing. It could be, no, this guy's just a much better grappler. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to trust the guy who I trust. But I'm interested to hear your one, bro, because I kind of just went off on that one.
Yeah. Before we get into this, I'm going to cut the IG live. So if you're in the IG live, come on over to the YouTube live stream right now. There's a link on my story. We're going to continue this on the prelims, and then we'll get to the main card real soon. We're almost at an hour. I don't know if you got anywhere to be, but we're diving deep right now.
I'm chilling, bro.
All right, cool. I'm going to remove the IG chat right now before it cuts out at an hour. But yeah, dude, when I look at this one, this actually came up in my live stream almost a week or 2 before. And I was like, dang, people are really interested in this Waldo Cortes-Acosta fight. And I initially thought, if Waldo is at plus 150, I think I got to play him. And then I think it opened near that. And then the line started to come down a little bit. And I don't really look too far ahead in the future just because, maybe I take, the fighter's mentality. I don't want to look past this card that I'm preparing for. I don't want to overlook it. So I don't really look at it too much. And then when I'm looking at it this week, I'm like, I think Spivac has shown he has the better wins in the UFC. and he's fought the better level of competition. And I think Waldo's wins in the UFC aren't really much to really get excited about, man. Like, Lucas Dresky, Robelis to Spain pretty much just wrestled him. Even his most recent one against Ryan Spann. If Ryan Spann gets to round 2, he just falls off a cliff. And then I'm watching the tape on it. And I'm like, if Spivac can't have a wrestling success, this dude just falls apart. And if he gets hit with one shot that he doesn't like, he just falls apart. So I can't trust him as a favorite. Like, I'm not going to trust this guy to survive a right hand from Waldo. If he gets hit with a right hand from Waldo, he got hit with a shot from Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida doesn't drop anybody. And Jailton Almeida hit him with a big shot, and he pretty much just covered up, fell to the ground, and got TKO'd. So if Waldo hits him with one shot, how can I believe that this guy's going to survive and, dog it out? I can't. So ultimately, I think it's a dog or pass from the money line perspective, but I also don't think Waldo has faced, any grappling near the level of Spivac. I think Spivac's takedowns they're okay. I mean, he has like I don't want to get this wrong, so let me just look it up. But he has a pretty solid takedown accuracy when I look at his stats. So, I'm somewhat of a stats guy. I do a lot of DFS, so I like to look at the stats a little bit. Yeah, 65% takedown accuracy, which is pretty good. But I don't think he has like the best control because he gets a bunch of takedowns in a lot of fights. I was watching the fights with Derek Lewis, and he was literally just holding on to Derek Lewis's waist, like literally just watching Derek Lewis fall in front of him. And then Derek Lewis would get back up. He would just hold on to him, drop him down. It was like slow motion. It was like, these aren't real takedowns. He's just putting his weight against the guy and waiting for him to fall down. And I think Waldo's probably the better athlete here. I think he probably has better cardio. I think he's probably got, more dog in him. But do I trust him, to survive the grappling of Spivac? Probably, but, I'm not super excited about plus 116 when I saw plus 150 a couple weeks ago. So ultimately, what I came down to is I think the fight probably goes under 2.5. I think if Spivac is going to get this done, it's probably going to be in round 1. That's where he usually gets it done. If he gets on top and do a dominant position where Waldo hasn't been, then he could probably finish him, whether it's a TKO or a submission. If Waldo is able to survive or hit him with something early, I think Waldo could KO him early. I think Waldo, if it gets into round 2, could probably start to hit him with stuffed takedowns, where Spivac's a little bit gassed out, a little bit discouraged, and could probably find a finish before the 12.5-minute mark. So I like the under 2.5. Let me just pull this up. I got it at minus 145, but minus 153, I don't think it's that bad. And I think Waldo's probably the money line side. I haven't gotten there yet. But I think Waldo by KO is pretty live. Looking at round 1 KO at plus 500, round 2 at plus 600, there's not a lot of differences when it comes to this. Obviously, these are early lines, so you're probably not going to get the best of it. I'm not going to play this until there's many books open where I could, shop around. But, Waldo 1-2 or Waldo 2-3 or just straight up Waldo KO at plus 155. I don't think it's too bad either. Or fight ends by KO. Yeah, I guess that's not very good. Minus 115. I thought it would be like plus 120 or something. I mean, you're looking at the method of victories here. They think Waldo by KO is the most likely.
Yeah, that's crazy because he's
the underdog. So, what is Spivac by points? Spivac is not a decision guy, like you said. I mean, they think the most likely outcome for Spivac to win is by decision.
Yeah, I don't agree.
He's not a decision guy, So no. I agree with you. I think the money line side is probably Waldo. But I lean more towards the under 2.5. Just because I trust Waldo to start to put it on him. If Spivac is on the feet, he takes the door out. I mean, all of his TKO losses, like he's not getting cold cocked where he's just out cold. It's literally just TKOs. He gets hit with something he doesn't like, he's out. And I think Waldo could hit him with something like that within the first 12.5 minutes that gets him out of there. But yeah, I'm with you on the money line side for sure. I'm not after I watched him against Jailton Almeida, I rewatched it. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm back at Spivac at a chalk price here.
No, you can't trust him, man. And you can trust Waldo. It might not play out this weekend, because the skill set might be too wide. A good fight to watch for anyone who wants to know how this fight might go is Thomas Peterson, who's in the UFC now, fought Waldo Cortes-Acosta in LFA like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It was in the main event. And Thomas Peterson, to be honest, grapple fucked him bad in the first 2 rounds. Like he was dominating him on the ground and pounding him, which is what Spivac's going to do. But in round 3, bro, Waldo's still there, got back up to his feet. Thomas Peterson's tired. Like, how the fuck did I not finish this guy? Like, I've tried so much. And he just lands like a 1-2 or something, or like a 2-3 or some shit. And it just crumbles him, man. Crumbles Peterson. And he gets a 3rd round finish after being dominated in 2 rounds. So I could see that happening again here.
And Thomas is a pretty tough guy too. I would say he's levels above Spivac in terms of grit.
Way
for
more.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And better cardio, in my opinion.
Yeah, and better cardio. Card is so ass betting wise, so that's the
I love this card for betting. I love it.
Jork says, don't think too much. Just take Waldo. This former Vegas bookie was happy to join in on the live stream. Great show, boys. Are they talking about you?
Must be.
Former famous Vegas bookie? Nolan in the house. Hey, the Parlay MMA in the house. How we doing, brother?
What's up, bro?
Also fighting heavyweights. They have an agility of toddlers. I think Waldo's definitely the better athlete here.
Yeah.
What's up, nerds and virgins? Colby Covington's burners in the chat. Wow, we got everybody popping out tonight. Lucrative brings the burners out here. Sean Shelby and Colby Covington.
Yeah, I do, bro. I bring the burners, bro.
Sugar. Waldo is one of the only athletes at heavyweight. Yeah. I mean, there's not many great athletes. I mean, Waldo was I believe he was like a MLB guy before he went to the MMA.
Yeah, I think so.
Colby still has fans in 2025. Facts. When am I doing the 8-pick DFS for premium members? Whenever Better Picks drops more fights on their platform. I mean, they are really stingy this week, so we'll see. All right, next one. We got Matt Mezakonok taking on Brendan Hrabar. I don't know how short notice it was for Hrabar, but if my mind serves correctly, it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks since Johnny Walker has pulled out. And Hrabar, kind of a different version of Johnny Walker. I mean, he's a tall, lengthy guy with some pop in his shots, kind of a questionable chin, kind of questionable defense. Definitely hasn't faced the level of competition that Johnny Walker has faced, but he's coming off back-to-back wins. Underdog win over Dair Nurgojai, who was the undefeated Kazakhstan guy that had the eye tick that really pisses me off when I watch him. And he Kimura'd him from the bottom. So that's interesting. But Mezakonok, dude, I don't know about you, but I love watching me some Mezakonok. That dude is nasty. This dude is like so unassuming. He looks like he should be. He actually looks like that one translator. You know, that one Russian translator that they have whenever they have a Russian fighter. Basically, if you take his face, I don't know his name, but if you take his face, he looks like the Russian translator that they have. Somebody in the chat, please let me know if I'm accurate in this, but he looks like the Russian translator, but his body, he's like, I mean, he's 5'10", light heavyweight, but the guy moves so smoothly, so smooth, so accurate with his shots. I think the guy's like, I think he's an amazing striker. I wish he fought more. I think he could have moved up in the rankings a lot easier, but he's been pretty inactive. Everything on paper tells you to take Hrabar at plus 400 or something like that. But you watch them fight, you're like, okay, Mezakonok's probably gonna knock this guy out because Hrabar's 8 years younger.
Yeah,
4 inches taller. He has like a 10-inch reach advantage. But I think Mezakonok's probably gonna knock him out. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I feel like the same, bro. That Russian translator's name's Sergey Nagorny, and I'm looking at him right now, and he looks like a way tinier, happier version of Mezakonok because he's smiling in all his photos. But yeah, I see what you mean now.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, right?
Yeah, bro. I mean, Similar features, bald hair, black Russian guy. But yeah, I do think he's gonna knock him out, bro. I mean, Mezakonok is tiny for the weight class, but it's not like he's not used to that. You know, like he's always fighting bigger guys. So I don't think Brenson being bigger is really that big of a deal for him. It feels like Mezakonok could probably make 185, man. You know, he could potentially like cut a lot of weight. 185 is a bit of a stretch because the biggest weight difference outside of heavyweight 265, but you know, it's the biggest weight difference in the entire UFC, so maybe not. But if there was like a 10-pound weight class below, I'm sure he can make it. You know, he could definitely make 195. But I just feel like the skill set on the feet is too big to overcome for Brenson Ribeiro. You know, Mezakonov's going to bounce on the outside, bouncing in and out of range like he does, you know, that strange style, and just come through with the overhand or the hook and knock Brenson out. Brenson's been touched on the chin many times. I think he's got a pretty bad chin, and it's probably going to be like a first or second round knockout, man. The issue is that, you know, one of these massive favorites will lose. You know, one of these minus 400s will lose. That's usually the way the UFC works. It's very rare that all the big favorites win. So, you know, I'm taking most of the massive favorites. I've given some underdogs, but like the big ones, I'm taking them all. But maybe this is the one that loses. Out of any that lose, I guess it probably could be this one. But yeah, I feel like he's going to knock him out.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so. I mean, I love watching him fight because he's so fluid. Like I'm coming from a kickboxing like training background, so when I see like a really nice striker, it's just so fun to watch. And it's more impressive because he's so small that he's able to knock out these bigger dudes. And I mean, minus 275 on the KO is like, I mean, you're not going to get anything free here. I mean, the under 1.5 is minus 160. And honestly, I'm not like crazy about that either because Mezakonov is kind of a guy that is patient in there, waits for his shots. Hrabar, even though he's had a lot of fights that ended in round one, you know, when he's fighting these guys, I don't really see him going out there just throwing caution to the wind. And even though he did pull off that huge upset against Bruno Lopes, like, you know, I never thought Bruno Lopes had the best chin. And we just saw that last week. Dustin Jacoby knocked him out in round one he dropped him with like a jab. So
that was crazy.
That was nuts. So yeah, I think Mezakonov probably knocks him out 1 or 2, and you're not going to get anything free here, man. I mean, he's minus 500. I mean, would you throw that in a parlay? Like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm never really a guy that's going to throw minus 500s in a parlay unless I have something that I feel amazing about to pair it with. And I just feel like there's no other outcome. But I mean, what is minus 500? 85%, 90%? 80,
like 83, I think.
83%, yeah.
I think so. I think you can argue between 80 and 90, depending on if you want to play it or not. You know, if you want to play the minus 500, you can argue it's 90. But you know, when you convince yourself, bro, I do that sometimes. I'm like, no. It's 85. It's 85. There's value.
Absolutely value at minus 500. But we don't need to spend too much time on that one, man. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry.
I think so.
Mezakonov off the PED suspension. Is that true? Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't know that, bro. Let me check.
Yeah, you could check that. I'm going to hit these chats. My first bet was Cassius Clay over Sonny Liston when I was 10 years old.
Damn.
Used to set boxing lines in Vegas, says Dan Hamilton. Wow.
For calling him Cassius Clay, you're definitely very old.
Yeah. 205 pounds is just a prospect disaster. It's true. Sean Shelby says I look like Kevin Jousset. I don't know. I get the Jake Hadley and the Paul Hughes, but Kevin Jousset, I don't know, man. I don't know. Alex NYC with the $4.99 dono. I appreciate you, brother. Bro, this card, any fight can head south and won't blame it. That is true. I mean, we're looking at these odds right now. I mean, we have a minus 450, minus 450, minus 700, minus 500, minus 500,
Crazy.
Minus 800. Damn, Kayla Harrison just caught some steam.
Caught some steam. That's minus 600.
Minus 420 on or 410. I mean, we got what? That's what, 5 or 6 favorites over minus 400 or more. So I mean, it's mean, you said one of them's going to lose. I mean,
surely one.
Surely one. And it's not like we've had a lot of big underdogs come through this year. I mean, it's not like not like last year. Last year was just chalk all day, and then this year it seems like the underdogs are finally coming through.
Yeah. So I checked Mezakonok. He is coming off a suspension. He's accepted a 6-month suspension for violating the UFC's anti-doping program, despite proof there was no performance-enhancing element to his situation. I don't know. He tested positive for Ligandro, which is like a SARM, if you know what SARMs are. Yeah. But yeah, it's like kind of steroids, but not really, but like still is. Yeah. But yeah, he got done for that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I wouldn't really chalk him up as like the fittest guy, so I guess you could see weigh-ins and maybe see if he looks tubby, but I don't think that's really going to inhibit him too much. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if he got caught for it once, I'm not really putting it past him to just keep doing it and maybe adjust the way he's taking it. But all right, man. Let's I mean, we got the last prelim, so we're almost to the main card. We got Bruno Silva, Joshua Van, and my man Joshua Van coming in here off 3 straight decision victories. Last time out was Ray Saruya, where he just outclassed the guy. Cody Durden outclassed him. Edgar Shirez, that was a great fight, but eventually he just put that pressure on him, took him down a few times, almost had him out of there, almost got knocked out, but then just kept the pressure on, reevaluated stuff, and eventually won a decision. Bruno Silva coming off the TKO loss to Manel Kape, and that was a beautiful performance from Manel Kape, and he was just severely outmatched in that one. So Bruno Silva is a huge underdog here. I just looked at it right now. I believe before the show, or at least the last time I checked, which was probably earlier today, Joshua Van was around -500. Now he's -700.
Yeah.
And it's getting pretty dang high. I mean, I really believe in Joshua Van because I think the guy has crazy pace, crazy pressure. His grappling defense has looked really, really good as he's gone along in the UFC. He's actually shown some offensive wrestling as well. And I think Bruno Silva at 34, 35, probably, on a decline here. He's more of a finish or bust type of guy. He's not a guy that's going to win a lot of minutes. He was losing the fight against Cody Durden until he finally got that big shot and knocked him out. But that's the thing with Bruno Silva. I mean, it only takes one. He's got big power. At +450, he's a huge dog. Maybe he could pull it off. What do you think?
Yeah, there's no way you can play Joshua Van at -700. Although I do feel like Joshua Van's going to beat the fuck out of him and probably finish him. I bet on Manel Kape to finish Bruno Silva last time out, and I kind of got lucky with the eye pokes, but at the same time, he was beating the fuck out of him, so it could have came anyway. But Bruno Silva's a very, very tough guy. And what that tells me is that because he's so tough, he's going to be able to last into the later rounds, whether it's round 2 or round 3. And if you can last into those rounds, you can have a chance to hit Joshua Van. Joshua Van is extremely hittable. The style of fight that he brings is a volatile style because he throws an insane amount of strikes. Joshua Van is actually number 1 in the entire UFC roster for strikes landed per minute. So this guy just throws a bunch. He has even more than Max Holloway, right? So the guy throws a fuck ton of strikes, but he also gets hit a lot because of how many strikes he throws. He puts himself in danger to land those strikes. He's been dropped by Kevin Borjas, hurt by Kevin Borjas again in the same fight, knocked unconscious by Charles Johnson, who doesn't hit that hard, and then spinning back elbowed, rocked badly by Edgar Shirez. This is all in the UFC, and he's been finished on the regionals. So, man, I mean, you just can't play Joshua Van at -700, but I do think that the body work of Joshua Van is too much. I think he's the much better striker. I think his pace and pressure is going to be too much. And I think that based on Bruno Silva's last fight, he got finished. He took a lot of punishment in that one. He's 34 years old. At this point, we might start to see the wheels drop off, and he could start getting finished more often than he has done. But he's always got the chance to land that right hand. He's always got the chance to jump on a submission like he did against Tyson Nam. Rocked him, jumped on a submission. He's always got the chance to uppercut KO you like he did against Cody Durden. So I could see a Silva KO here. You know, if someone wants to take Silva, I'm not going to talk them off it. Overall, I think I might play the fight doesn't go to a decision or something like that, because I do think Joshua Van has a good chance to finish this one.
That's the exact angle that I took, man. Fight doesn't go. I mean, right now it's at -105. I got a little bit better than that, but I just think if Joshua Van gets his game going, you know, Bruno Silva is a little bit older. He's coming off a performance where he got beat to shreds. I think Joshua Van could put him away here. And I think we're getting a little bit of some value on it just because Joshua Van's been to 3 straight decisions against, you know, a young guy in Ray Saruya who had never been finished, obviously because he was undefeated. And he has the grappling to go to. So if he's in trouble, he can just shoot on a leg and stall some time out there. Cody Durden kind of the same way. Cody Durden took a beating, but at times he can be a dog. At times he can get finished if he gets hit with something clean. Edgar Chairez, also a guy that's very tough, very good chin. So I think if Van gets his game going, I could see him taking over and getting a finish. But we also get some upside with the Bruno Silva side, who, like you said, I mean, he hits very, very hard. Like for the flyweight division, he's probably one of the top 7 guys that have the most power in the division. And we've seen Joshua Van hurt multiple times. And I've been saying it for a while. Like Joshua Van fights so often that eventually it's going to catch up to him. Like it kind of caught up to him against Charles Johnson. And then he fought like 2 or 3 months later. I was like, dude, you're so young in your career. Why are you turning around and fighting after you're coming off a knockout loss? It's going to catch up to him eventually. Maybe it's this time. Maybe he's the big favorite that ultimately takes the L. But ultimately, you know, I think Joshua Van probably wins. I'm not going to play him at -700 by any means, but I do like the fight doesn't go. I think we get finishing upside from both guys. Both guys have been finished, and both guys are dangerous enough to get their game going and put the other away. So that's kind of the angle that I like. But yeah man, -700 on Joshua Van. I mean, Bruno Silva has been an underdog for a lot of his career. I mean, Cody Durden, I was a pick him against Cody Durden. He was a big dog against Manel Kopp. I don't really rate Bruno Silva as some great fighter, but he does have the danger factor that can alter the fight with one punch or one back take. So you got to factor that in for sure. Silva last 5 fights ITD. That's what I'm saying, bro. This is insane. What a collaboration between 2 dope cappers. I appreciate you, Desi. Jamal. First time I ever bet Josh Van. He got knocked out. Yeah, that was, I mean, what was he against Charles Johnson? He had to be minus
250 or 200 or something.
Yeah, let me just check it because I got minus 250. Yeah, minus 250. Bruno ITD plus 700. Van gets hurt in every fight. Under 2.5 plus 160. That is why he is fearless Josh Van. Van is always in the gym. He's always fighting, man. I mean, the guy is just chomping at the bit to get fights. I don't know why. I mean, how old is he? 24?
Yeah,
22?
yeah.
Dude, I don't know how old are you? 27? 26?
I just turned 31 2 days ago.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. 2 days ago? So you were June 1st?
30th of May. That's 4 days ago. Fuck.
Oh, 40th. Well, happy late birthday. But, I mean, we're talking about 23-year-olds. I mean, I'm 25, so I feel old talking about 23-year-olds. But,
yeah,
geez, man.
Crazy, man. The talent coming through now from the younger generation is so much better than it was when we was like, you know, when MMA was like even 5-6 years ago. You know, even Ray Saruya, I know he got beat the fuck out of, but that guy's so young. This guy who just won on road to UFC, 19 years old, Sulang Rangbo. I mean, the guy looks like a seasoned striker, knocked out Peter Danaso, who himself was 23, who already fought on road like a few years back. I mean, yeah, MMA is in a great spot, bro. In the next like 5 to 10 years, we're going to see some crazy fighters, 24 years old, and they're going to look like 32-year-old veterans. And Joshua Van's kind of one of them, to be honest. He's a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, he throws so much volume. But do you think the prime, like the MMA prime nowadays, or at least, you know, maybe it's changing right now, but the prime right now is like 30 to 32, 33. You think it's going to drop down to like 27 to 30 or 26 to 29 in the next coming years, or what?
Yeah, that's a good point. And probably because I think, once these guys started training at like 4 or 5 years old, which they are now, they'll probably reach their peak a little bit earlier, and mainly based on the sparring and the damage that they take, their bodies are not going to be able to hold up as long as 31, 32 years old. And because they're starting earlier, they're going to reach their peak a little bit quicker, because you can't train like MMA for like just 30 years and be fine. Like your body's going to take a lot of knocks. So yeah, I could actually see that happening, which is something I've not really thought about before.
Yeah. Kind of just something that I just thought of, but
yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because I agree with you. You can't train that long. Like when I was thinking about started training MMA like years ago when I was 21-ish. I'm like, it's just way too late, man. Like I'm not going to be able to get all the skills I need to be a fighter. Like, I'll just train that to do it and have fun, but I'm never going to be a fighter because I don't have the years that it takes to be good at stuff. So interesting stuff. But let's get into the main card, bro. Vicente Luque taking on Kevin Holland. Seems like this is going to be the first fight of the night. I thought Bautista mix was going to be the first fight, but it seems like they like Kevin Holland as the first fight of the night for the main card. I'm going to let you go first on this one. I think I went first on a couple others. What do you think?
Yeah, I think at this point in their career, Kevin Holland's going to dust him, to be honest, bro. Vicente Luque, I don't know what his path to victory is. I mean, because that's what I always do. I always think, okay, what's the path to victory for this guy? How can he win? Because sometimes underdog price tags get us intrigued, right? It's like, oh, wow, plus 200 Vicente Luque. It looks good. It sounds nice. But if I actually think about the fight, how can he win? And this is, I'm not talking about this specific fight, but just in general, that's how I like to do my betting. It's like, okay, plus 500 sounds lovely, right, on Ashmouz, but what does his win look like? If you can't picture it, maybe the line's right. The only real way I can see Luque winning the fight is Kevin Holland being a moron, which we've seen in his career, right? Sometimes he comes in and he just don't give a fuck. I mean, he's getting grappled by Derek Brunson for 5 rounds back in the day, and he's just talking shit, like not even really trying to get up. So yeah, okay, you have to cap in Kevin Holland's fight IQ. Maybe he makes mistakes, right? But in reality, I only see the path to victory for Luque. I don't think he can win a striking fight here. I don't think he can win a striking fight. Kevin Holland has an elite chin. He's been knocked out by Wonderboy. Outside of that, the guy's never been knocked out, right? He's got an absolute elite chin. And Luque is taking more punishment. Luque always used to get a little bit rocked and wobbled, but he just had a crazy chin and never got knocked out, right? But he always, wore damage badly. His nose is bust open. And I just feel like now that it's the time where he starts getting knocked out. Brutally knocked out by Jeff Neal, right? That was a bad one, man. Dropped about 3 or 4 times in the fight. Mercy stoppage in round 3. Should have been stopped earlier. And then quit to Buckley from ground and pound. That was some weird shit. That was one of the craziest stoppages. The entire MMA community was screaming fix, right? They were screaming fight fix. That's how bad it looked. He just covered up from ground and pound and just waited till the ref stopped the fight. Vicente Luque went for a bad brain bleed about 4 or 5 years ago. Very, very dangerous injury. They thought he would have to quit the sport. And in my opinion, since he's come back, he hasn't looked the same, man. He isn't taking punishment the same. He isn't fighting the same with the same tenacity. Against RDA, how did he win the fight? He had to grapple RDA. He was getting beat on the feet by Rafael dos Anjos, right? When he was meant to be the striker in that matchup. So the only way he won the fight was via grappling. I think Kevin Holland has his number on the feet all day, even if it's just with durability. Kevin Holland's very long, rangy. It's not going to be easy for Vicente Luque to fight that guy, bro. Like, I think he's going to ping his head, into row Z. I think he's going to finish him on the feet. Now, we look at the grappling. Okay, can Vicente grapple him? I mean, come on, man. Vicente's a striker. I hear people talking about Vicente's got the, he can easily grapple him. It's like, what are you watching? I mean, Kevin Holland gets grappled a lot in his career, right? But he gets grappled by legit grapplers and wrestlers at 185 pounds. Who's beating him? Rene Derrida? The guy's like a fucking heavyweight. You know what I mean? This is at 170 pounds. I like Kevin at 170 a lot better because he's more dialed in. I think he's more focused. I think he cares more about the 170 weight class because he needs to cut weight. So he knows, his mind's more focused on it. And overall, I just don't see Vicente having the grappling prowess to grapple him. So if he can't grapple him, I don't think he can beat him on the feet. So if I don't think he can grapple him, and I don't think he can beat him on the feet, how is he going to win? In my opinion, Kevin Holland has to shit the bed, which is possible. The guy smokes weed every day. He's always posting crazy shit on Instagram, getting into fights on the street. Like, you know, Kevin Holland's a wild card. So maybe, but I don't think, like, he's done this his entire career. You know, it's not like he's just going off the rails now. He's done this shit in his entire career. He's always been a little bit loopy, and he's got a lot of good wins. So I think at this point in their career, I think he's going to finish Luque.
Yeah, I agree. I think on the feet, Kevin Holland all day, because I don't think Luque is going to be able to touch him. Holland at 170 is massive, and he knows how to use his length, man. He's a long striker who throws long 1-2s, pops a good jab, throws some good kicks. It's a little bit awkward too. Like I don't think Luque's plotting style is going to have the best success against Kevin Holland, who moves pretty well, sets up his shots. But I think if Luque wants to win, he's got to go to the grappling. And if there is a path to victory there, is he going to take down and submit Kevin Holland? Unlikely. Unlikely, because, you know, who has Luque done that to? He's not going to take down and submit guys. It's more of a defensive submission type of thing. And I don't know that Kevin Holland is a guy that's going to just go out there and, you know, give up to the first choke that he's in. I mean, he was in a pretty deep choke to Gunnar Nelson his last time out. And he fought through it. So I think Kevin Holland probably wins. We'll pull up the odds right here. Kevin Holland's sitting at minus 280. And I think that's pretty valid. I mean, I don't know how Kevin Holland loses outside of being an idiot. You know, maybe he gets taken down by Luque and he just starts talking to DC and Joe Rogan. You know, I don't know what the hell he's going to do. So I did back Kevin Holland his last fight against Gunnar Nelson, but he was an underdog. I'm not crazy about laying minus 280 on Kevin Holland, but I do think he probably wins. I think he probably knocks him out. I did take a little sprinkle on Luque by sub because it was at plus 1,000. And I think, you know, that's his path to victory. If you're giving me a guy that has, I think his main path to victory at plus 1,000, who does have some nasty chokes, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit. So I did sprinkle a little bit on Luque by sub, but it was at plus 1,000. Now it's down a little bit. I think it's still 9-1 on most books, but Bet Online's not going to let you have anything for free because they're going to be the ones that are throwing their numbers out there first. But I agree with you. I think Kevin Holland probably wins this one. Over under 1.5. I mean, you think he knocks him out? You think Kevin Holland knocks him out?
I do think he finishes him. I don't know when he could finish him. I think Kevin Holland could sub him, bro. I know that might be a little bit of a hot take, but yeah, because you said knock him out, I'll mention the submission. I think it's possible. He's got a great dash choke himself, you know, and I can see like a club and sub or something. And I just don't trust Luque to survive these days. But I don't know if it's under or over 1.5. Like, that's tough, man.
Yeah, I don't. If Luque, the thing with Luque is like, he's kind of like Kevin Holland, man. You just can't trust him nowadays. But do I trust the best version? Like right now, if you give me the best version of Kevin Holland and the best version of Vicente Luque, I would take Kevin Holland. But that's because Luque is weathered, man. He's weathered, and Kevin Holland at 170, I think, is a real problem. And at 170, it's almost like he has to take his career a little bit more serious just because he's at 170 and people expect him to be better at 170. Because I think a lot of the stuff with Kevin Holland is like mental stuff. It's like, okay, well, if you're at 185, it's like it's just a regular fight. If you get taken down and you get smothered, well, you're at 185, you're a smaller guy. But if you're at 170 and you get taken down and smothered, well, then you just kind of suck. So he has to like fight through it a little bit. But also he's coming off a win. So now that he's coming off a win, I'm like, well, maybe he just feels good about himself and he doesn't really care anymore. So there's a lot of mental games with Kevin Holland, man. But, you know, I think he probably wins. I do expect him to probably get a finish here. But if Luque does get something snatched up, I think he could finish it. I mean, Holland has been submitted. Kevin Holland's not a guy that's going to get knocked out. I mean, he's been TKO'd, but that was from a doctor stoppage by Wonder Boy in between rounds. and an injury against Roman Dolidze. So if he's going to go out, he's going to want to get choked out. He's not going to go out there and get knocked out. So if things aren't going his way, and Vicente Luque does come out, the sub on Vicente Luque at plus 1,000 when I got it, I think is worth a little sprinkle. So, yeah. All right.
He went to a split decision with the current champion as well at 170, man. I think Holland at 170 is solid, bro. He went to a split decision with Jack Della Maddalena. That's a fucking solid. And I don't think I think that was a clear win by JDM, but I think it was a close fight. He got round 2 on all 3 judges' scorecards. And that's a big thing. That was only 2 years ago. That was less than 2 years ago, I think. It was like a year and a half or some shit. No, maybe like 2 years ago. That's a good win, bro. Or that's a good fight. Good record.
Yeah. He is super legit when he puts his mind to it, for sure. We'll hit the chats here. Lajuan Drum, Luque, don't want to get hit. It's true. Your boy, Jorik Vartanov, says he doesn't see the 1-year option on Lucrative MMA. He donated $10. Bro, keep your $10 and put it towards his 1-year option, bro. You don't got to donate.
Bro, you donated so much. He donated like $10 like 2 or 3 times to my last show. But you donated to say I should drop my price and give you a discount. But, bro, that's $50 now that you could have used for this. You didn't even need a discount. But I don't know. Just DM me on social media and I'll direct you to the 1-year option. The 1-year option is on a different website, my old website. But just DM me and I'll sort you out, bro. But thanks for the donation, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Kevin has a favorite is gross. Lucrative James is unreal at MMA betting. Join his premium. Stop effing guessing on your own like a damn rookie. That is true. You got to stop guessing. Stop parlaying these favorites just because you think they're going to win. We got to find that EV, bro. Plus, it's 170 Holland. Maybe he's locked in. I mean, we can only hope. Holland is a washed journeyman. Well, I mean, a washed journeyman coming off a win. Luque is Wash City. I mean, I guess we got a battle of the washes right here.
Kevin Holland's not washed, bro. Kevin Holland is who he was 5 years ago. What, is he way worse now than he? No, he's not. He's the same guy, man.
True.
Luque's obviously downgraded. Kevin Holland's been the same guy since he stepped in the octagon to now. He's just pretty solid, He's not improved or got worse.
Absolutely. Before we get in to the fight right here between Mario Bautista and Patchy Mix, if you're watching the live stream right now, hit the like button for us. We got to run up the like count. I don't know what it's at right now, but if it ain't at 100 likes by now, we're probably down bad. All right, so hit the like button for us before we hop into the fight I'm sure many people are looking forward to the breakdown for, because Patchy Mix making his UFC debut, Bellator champion, against Mario Bautista. Everyone probably hates Mario Bautista for good reason, because he did not exactly put on a great performance against Jose Aldo, but he got the win and he fought smart. So can he come in here against Patchy Mix, fight smart, and cash as a dog against the Bellator champion who's coming in with a lot of hype? I believe in Patchy Mix as a fighter in the UFC. But when I look at this fight, I think there is a very solid path to victory for Bautista, because Patchy's an amazing grappler. If he gets you down on the ground, you're in trouble. If he gets your back, he's probably going to have it for most of the round. You're probably going to be fighting off chokes for most of the round. So he has a way to secure rounds with his back takes, with his grappling. He has a way to get you out of there with his submissions. But Bautista, I don't think is a fish out of water on the ground. And I think Bautista probably has the better striking here. I think Patchy is a very low volume striker. I don't think he's a reactive striker by any means. I think he's more of a, let me throw this left hand, let me level change so I could throw this knee. I think it's more thought out, but it's too thought out to where he's kind of standing and staring and like waiting for his next move. Bautista, I think, has probably better footwork, probably more volume here. But Patchy, I got to respect his ground game here. So I know this is going to be an interesting fight to break down, and I don't want to hear what you got to say about this one. What do you think?
Yeah. First things first, bro. We're only on 58 likes on the YouTube channel. We got to get to 100 likes, guys. All you need to do is hit the like button. I say, hey, Jav, this is your show, so let me know if you want to do something like this. But maybe if they hit 100 likes, we can do like a joint parlay at the end of the show or something. But only if we get 100 likes or whatever number you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100 likes by the main event. We'll cook up a parlay by the end of the show.
Nice, sure. Bro. We have to do it, bro. That's the one half of the long shot show. So we got to do a crazy parlay, bro. But yeah, man, for this one, it's a tough fight, bro, because I honestly feel like they're feeding Patchy to the wolves to some degree. You know, I don't think they're giving him an easy fight, which they're not going to do if this high-level guy, champion in Bellator, they don't give these guys easy fights. You know, we've seen it with Patricio Pitbull recently. They threw him to a top 5 guy in Yair Rodriguez. And they're doing it here with Patchy Mix, you know. Mario Bautista, very, very solid fighter. I know he's hated on these days because of what he did to Aldo, which was just beat him in a fight. And now everyone hates him. You know, it's like if you beat Aldo, you are hated. Ayman Zahabi knows that. Ayman Zahabi, the new most hated man on the roster, just for beating Jose Aldo. Like, Jesus Christ, man. You got to put some blame on Jose Aldo. Like, the guy got grappled up against the cage for Mario Bautista. Couldn't get off the cage. Can't blame Mario Bautista for that. Jose Aldo's a tough fight for anyone. But yeah, I think that Mario Bautista is a much better striker here. He goes to the body a lot, which is going to pay dividends because I think Patchy Mix can slow down a little bit. We've seen it in the one Archuleta fight. We've seen it in the Magomedov fight. I like Patchy Mix a lot. I bet on him multiple times in his career, throughout his Bellator career. I bet on him as a massive underdog against Horiguchi before anyone really respected him too much. And I feel like this is the time where you might have to fade him. Plus 150 on Mario Bautista, plus 140. Pretty good price, man. We're getting the much better striker here. And basically all he needs to do is avoid the ground game and he's going to win, right? Like that's all he really needs to do. Is he going to avoid the ground game? I don't know because Patchy has a crazy way to get the fight to the ground. He jumps on the back from anywhere. But Patchy isn't a great wrestler, in my opinion. And Mario Bautista has very good wrestling defense. You know, from watching the tape, he seems like he defends takedowns very well. He never, ever accepts any position. You know, he's not going to be the one clinched up against the fence for 15 minutes like Jose Aldo. You know, he never accepts any position. Patchy Mix, I've seen in the Embedded when he's in the kitchen with Tatiana Suarez, his wife, or his partner, whatever. You know, he's talking shit on Mario Bautista. This guy is nowhere near on my level. I'll submit Mario, then I'll go to his gym and submit his coach and anybody who teaches him jiu-jitsu. I mean, fair enough, bro. You got to be cocky. You got to be confident. Some people would argue that I'm the same way sometimes, you know. But at the end of the day, man, he could be overlooking Mario Bautista in this spot. And you don't want to be overlooking someone on that level. Mario has been subbed before. He has been put on bad positions on the ground before. Corey Sandhagen armbar comes to mind. I believe that may have been his debut, though, or Corey's debut. I forget. I think one of them was making their debut. But, yeah, I just feel like the value's on Mario Bautista here. I don't have too much to say outside of that one, bro. But I'm very interested to see your take on it.
Yeah, I don't have really a passionate take. I mean, I think it's Patchy by sub. Yeah, at plus 400 is worth a stab, but Bautista by points at plus 235 is also worth a stab. So I could see both outcomes, and both outcomes are plus money. So I'm not opposed to just taking both shots or just taking no shot at all. But I think Patchy's ground game is just super legit. Like he is so long. He's 5'11", and when he gets on the ground, like his limbs are just so long. He puts in that body triangle. If he gets your back, like you're not getting out of it. And he has the front choke series, which is super nice as well. I don't think Bautista has fought, you know, the best grapplers, you know, on his come up. I do rate the Blackshear win pretty nicely, but he took it on 7 days notice. Blackshear did. He had fought the week prior. And I thought Blackshear arguably could have won the fight. And I didn't really rate, you know, Bautista's takedown defense the best. You know, he got taken down a couple times by Ricky Simone. And honestly, I don't think Ricky Simone's takedowns, I think they're pretty overrated. Like for a guy that's mainly a wrestler, they're pretty overrated. Now, I don't really rate Patchy Mix's wrestling that great, but I do think he can find his way to the ground to where, you know, the submission's going to be live. And if he gets one opening with the choke, like we're talking about a guy that submitted Magomed Magomedov, a Dagestani guy. If you could choke out a Dagestani unconscious, I think you could probably choke out Mario Bautista, but he's got to get it there. He's got to get it there, and that's the problem with Patchy's. His wrestling isn't that great. So ultimately, I think it's Patchy by sub or it's Bautista by points. I did debate, playing Bautista money line, and honestly, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait, later in the week, if Bautista continues to grow, maybe I'll take a shot on Bautista money line if it gets to plus 180, somewhere around there. I don't really foresee it going that well or that way, but maybe if it grows a little bit, we could get a little something on Bautista by points if people are hammering the Patchy mix sub, and then the fight goes the distance, drops down. Maybe we can get better odds on Bautista by points, but I'm just kind of sit back and wait. And I did play Patchy by sub at plus 400 for a little bit, just because I saw the number and I was like, for a guy that has 15 wins by sub, if he gets you down to the ground, I think it's worth a shot. Honestly, I think it's kind of his best path to victory. Like, is he going to win a decision against Bautista? I mean, if he's probably got to get him down 2 out of the 3 rounds. So I don't really see him winning a lot of minutes on the feet. I think Bautista's probably going to win most of the minutes on the feet. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Moneyline perspective, I think Bautista or pass, but I think Patchy by sub is super live.
Yeah, it's a great fight, bro. One of the best fights on the card.
I can't wait for it. I mean, I never thought we'd get Patchy in the UFC. And
yeah, we got Pico now. Pico and Patchy and Kayla Harrison. That's fucking solid, man.
Dude, the fact that PFL bought Bellator,
yeah,
and basically the UFC just took all the good Bellator fighters away from them is like probably one of the biggest robberies in MMA sports history. Like, they didn't have to pay for the organization, but they got most of their best fighters, and they're just, they'll pay them. They probably aren't paying them that much. Like, I know Patchy, I've actually talked to Patchy in person, and I know he made a lot of money in Bellator. There's no chance he's making that money in the UFC. Not a chance. So yeah, they're taking pay cuts to come to the UFC for legacy, and the UFC is just able to take their name from Bellator and make some money off it. So cool for them, I guess. We do need Dakota, bro. We need Dakota Dacheva in the UFC, bro. If she comes into the UFC,
game over for these women.
Game over, bro. It's game over. That girl is huge, nasty. It just she's a fucking marauder, bro. Pull out the Joe Rogan saying she is a marauder. Mike with the $5 dono. James, take my money. Where do I sing for one? Sign for one.
Sing me happy birthday, bro, and then I'll give you up. But bro, I will say, Mike, we're on Hey Jive YouTube channel. Hey Jive, I believe you have your own service, home of picks. You guys crush it as well. Very sharp guy. I've been saying that for a long time. So everybody here, go and check out Hey Jive and Home of Picks subscription. You guys give a bunch of stuff. My man JB just signed up to the Discord. You can get his stuff for free as well. So definitely go and check that out. That's a great option for you guys.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate that. But, we're both cappers in the space, and we both sell our picks. Whatever you guys want to do, that's up to you. I'm not a guy that really tries to like sell anything. If you want my picks, the only reason I started selling picks is because I get tons of DMs that are like, what are your bets for this Saturday? Well, I get that so many DMs. There's just got to be a spot where you could go to get it. So eventually it just took over, and then we start selling our bets. So if you want the bets, we both have our spots to go get them. Sometimes we're similar on our bets. Sometimes we're not. But ultimately, it's just, whatever you prefer. So,
yes, sir.
Whoever you want, you want us both, you want either, but we're just here on the live stream giving you free game. So that's why I think it's great to collaborate with other guys in the space, is because, we both have our own thing, but we can give some free game to the people here on the live stream, and everyone can eat. So I appreciate you, Mike, for the $5 dono. Well, we got 3 fights left. We're almost 2 hours in. So I mean,
that's not cool, bro. Sorry, I like to yap, my man, but it's
no. I mean, it seems like it's flown by, but I mean,
yeah,
personally, I mean, you might have
this one. Look at this one, bro.
you might have some hotter takes on these last three, but I'm not super interested in this one, man. Like, I hate when fights get canceled and then rebooked at a later date. It's like I don't even want to look at it anymore. So this one, I don't even remember if I had a bet on this one. And if the fact that I can't remember, it probably tells me I didn't have a bet on this one. So Pfeiffer's a huge favorite. He's minus 410 against Kelvin Gastelum. I'm not interested in Kelvin Gastelum just because I think he's a little bit older. And I don't really think he's ever taken his career that serious. Very talented guy. But then I look at Joe Pyfer. I think he's the younger guy who's on a higher trajectory. And I think Joe Pyfer probably wins this, but I don't know, at minus 410, like, am I really going to be getting the best of it? I don't really think so. So, and I don't even know if he's going to finish him or not. So then we're talking, if Pyfer can finish him or not. I don't know. Is it a coin flip? I can't really tell you. So honestly, I don't even know if I'll have a bet on this fight. So hopefully you got something better than me. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a disappointing one for me because I bet on Kelvin Gastelum in the first fight at like plus 400 or plus 300. And that was at elevation, if you remember. And also, if you remember, the reason it was cancelled is because Joe Pyfer pulled out with an illness. So I knew Joe Pyfer was ill. We had some information. It was public information. I watched one of this podcast, or someone sent me a message saying he was meant to be on a podcast like the week before, and he pulled out because he was ill. Like they said on the podcast, I was meant to have Joe Pyfer, but he's sick, so he can't join. I'm like, oh, okay. He's sick 2 weeks before he's meant to fight Kelvin. Let me fucking slam Kelvin. It's also at elevation. Pyfer's a bit gassy. Kelvin was out training at elevation like a month or 2 months before, like he put in crazy work. I was like, this is the spot. And we would have cashed it. It's like if Aaron fought Macy. I bet on Macy last week. If they fought, Aaron was going to beat that girl, man, because Macy was fucked. She had a seizure. She was unhealthy, whatever. Like, she would have lost that fight. Joe Pyfer would have lost that fight against Kelvin Gastelum, in my opinion. He was sick and it was at elevation. It was the perfect recipe for him to lose. Now it's like Pyfer's probably going to win, man. I still feel like there's value on Kelvin here. I still feel like Pyfer, it could be one of the massive favorites that loses. I think Pyfer's a good fighter, but he hasn't fought the level of competition that Kelvin has. So Kelvin, he's probably can compete with him in the striking. He's got elite chin, so he probably won't get knocked out. And Pyfer doesn't really like to wrestle, even though he's good at it. He doesn't really like to do it. If he does continuously do it, I've seen Kelvin Gastelum get up from Sean Brady multiple times. And Sean Brady has some of the best top game in the entire division. One of the best games, like maybe in that division's history from top. And Kelvin Gastelum got up from underneath him multiple times in their fight. So I definitely think that he can get up from Joe Pyfer. If he does, he can probably land the more damage. He throws at a higher volume. He's got more experience in a 3-round fight. So I do think there's some value on Kelvin Gastelum, but it's not the same fight it was in the first fight. So I'm nowhere near as passionate about it this time. Pyfer's probably going to win this one, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough to have a passionate take about this one, man. Like, are you really going to bet Joe Pyfer at minus 410? No, probably not, unless you're going to throw it in a parlay. Do you feel amazing about it? No, I guess 3 rounds you might feel better just because, he's not going to gas out like he did against Hermanson. But also, I don't even know how he's going to win. Gastelum is super durable with his chin. I mean, he has been finished on the ground, but that was Sean Brady. Is Joe Pyfer as good of a grappler as Sean Brady? I don't think so. I mean, he's an explosive athlete, but I don't think he's as good on the mat as Sean Brady. So is it Joe Pyfer by decision? I mean, I don't really see any value in any of this, man. Like, Joe Pyfer by points plus 155, nah. Pyfer by sub 255, no. Pyfer by KO plus 275. I mean, for a guy that's mainly a KO guy, that's his least likely outcome. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think it's more of just a pass for me, but I can't knock you for betting Gastelum at plus 310 for a guy that's that durable, that does have good cardio, has good boxing. But I'm not a guy that wants to be putting money on Kelvin Gastelum in 2025. So I'm a pass on that one.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think if you're going to bet the fight, I think you just take a flyer on Gastelum. Big step up in competition, even at this stage in his career. And you just say, fuck it, maybe bet less and I'll bet it. But outside of that, there's probably not much value.
Agreed. What are we at for the likes right now? Fabrizio says smash the like button to get it to 100.
We need that parlay. They need the parlay. The streets need the parlay. 93, bro.
93. We're at 93 likes. We need 100 to get the parlay at the end of the show. We only got 2 fights left. So smash the like button so we can give you a parlay. Mike with the $10.
Oh, shit. Mike again.
Mike again. Did Mike already donate already?
And he just donated again. He just donated again.
He wants you again. He's already subscribed to me, but he wants to subscribe to you too, James. So where do you subscribe if early subscription available? Let him know.
Sublaunch.com/lucrative MMA.
I can
yearly. Okay.
I mean, I tagged your channel in the description. So if you have a link on your channel,
just go to Lucrative James on any platform and just click the link in my bio. It's everything. Just DM me if you can't get it. DM me.
Or DM him on IG. Piper wants to show off his grappling. He said on the podcast with Brady. Brady even hinted at a sub this past episode.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if he just big brothers him on the ground. I mean, he is a huge middleweight. Tell you that. Another $2 donut from Mike. He wants the yearly subscription.
My man.
Smash the like, boys. Smash a like, and Gastelum eats a taco. For every like this live stream gets, Calvin Gastelum will eat a taco and he will miss weight. And we won't get to see the fight. It'll get canceled. Didn't realize the odds for Piper by sub were so shit. Yeah, they're not very good, man.
No.
It's probably going to Gastelum if it happens twice. Well, we shall see. All right, enough of the featured bout. We're getting into some title fights. We got Juliana Pena taking on Kayla Harrison. And do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? Because I don't have like a super hot take on this one, but I'm sure it'll be kind of a relatable take. What do you think? You want me to go?
Bro, honestly, I'm the exact same as you. I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I don't think that Pena has the physicality, the strength to keep Harrison off her. I think the only way Pena wins is if Harrison gasses out. Like, that's the only way that Pena could beat Nunes in their first fight. And you saw what happened in the rematch. I think Harrison's going to take her over time and time again and finish her on the ground. That's it, bro. I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, man. Like, Kayla Harrison fought her PFL career at 155, and now she's at 135, where, at 155, there were some girls that could match her. Like, Larissa Pacheco could match her at 155. Like, they're both huge. And she lost. The only fight she's ever lost was to Larissa Pacheco, and it was 3-2, basically a 50-50 fight. Came down to like one round, and she lost. But then, she's coming into the UFC, and she's just bullying Holly Holm. I mean, she didn't look amazing against Ketlen Vieira, but Ketlen Vieira, I mean, we just saw her last week, did pretty dang good against Macy Chiasson, and Ketlen Vieira is a girl that has some of the best takedown defense in the division. And Juliana Pena, probably the worst takedown defense. I mean, maybe as far as a champion, like, she probably has the worst takedown defense on paper to ever hold a belt. She's at 23%. 23% takedown defense. She's only stuffed 6 takedowns in her entire UFC career. Girls have tried to take her down 26 times in her UFC career. She's only stuffed 6 of them. Can I really believe she's going to stuff takedowns against Kayla Harrison? Probably not. But I do think she could probably try to threaten with submissions. Is that going to work? I don't know. But I do think Juliana has like a weird scrambly style that could start to wear on Kayla. But Kayla's going to be in top position. She's going to be in control. She's probably going to be winning most of the first 15 to 20 minutes. If she gasses out, she's probably up 3-0, and she probably wins the fight. So I think Kayla Harrison probably wins. I do think she can get a finish, but she's going to have to put it on Juliana Pena, because Juliana Pena is super tough, super durable, but we've seen her finish in the UFC before, and she's been submitted twice before. So is it out of the realm that she gets submitted by Kayla Harrison? Absolutely not. So ultimately, I think, you know, the money line is pretty dang wide, but for somewhat of a good reason, I don't know that I could. I mean, I'm definitely not going to bet Kayla Harrison at minus 800 because I'm not in that business. Would I take a shot at Juliana Pena at plus 550? It would have to be a really small shot. And maybe if she gets up higher, maybe on fight day, I'm like, you know, fuck it. I got to take a little shot here. But, you know, a couple drinks in me, maybe. Juliana Pena by sub plus 850. That's the most likely outcome. So, I mean, for the most likely outcome for Juliana Pena to win, it's by sub. I guess I kind of agree with that. Kayla Harrison by sub is the most likely outcome of the fight. You think she's going to finish her? Do you think it's going to be a sub or a TKO? Or you just don't care?
Probably a submission because Juliana Pena is super, super tough. You know, the only time she's been finished has been on the ground, and they've both been by a submission. Two pure strikers. Like, I know that's disrespectful calling Valentina Shevchenko a striker, but she's a striker. You know, I mean, you know what I mean, right? Like, but she's an all-round MMA fighter. But yeah, she subbed her with an armbar, and then also Jermaine Durandamy subbed her with a guillotine choke. And Jermaine is a pure striker. Yeah. So, I think it's probably going to be another submission.
Kayla inside the distance minus 175.
Now look at the price for the under 4.5.
I saw it got steamed. Yeah, minus 175 for the under 4.5. I mean, that was. I mean, what was it like? Minus 120.
Yeah, bro. It opened like even maybe plus money, like plus 100 or some shit, and then it went 155. Yeah, it got smashed.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe see Juliana just hanging on, but if Kayla's gonna win, it's probably early, and I think
25 minutes is a long time, bro. 25 minutes is a long time against, you know, for someone who has 26% takedown defense against someone who is a pure grappler, the best in the division at that, which is the only way that Juliana Pena has not only got beat but finished. It's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I mean, like, even if the fight goes to a decision, it's going to be like a domination, like for the most part, right? Like, Juliana's just going to be getting dominated the whole time. I don't even think you'll feel good about your bet, even if it cashes at plus 150, fight goes to a decision. I feel like even if you lay minus 175, even if it doesn't hit, it probably still looks value.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, lead up to the fight, I was like, you know, Juliana, she's got some decent grappling. You know, maybe she'd be, you know, make her work. And then you look at the stats, it's 23% takedown defense. I was like, she's cooked. She's cooked, man. You can't tell. Yeah. I mean, Kayla Harrison still took down Kayla Vieira twice. That's the most ever in her UFC career. And, you know, how many times is she going to take down Juliana Pena? Probably whenever the fuck she wants. You know, like
until she gasses out. That's the only hope I could see. Maybe she gasses out because she cuts a lot of weight. So maybe she gasses out.
Yeah. I mean, she's been 5 rounds at 155, but, you know, cutting an extra 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It'll do something to your gas tank. We'll see. But, you know, Kayla inside the distance, probably most likely. What are we at? Are we at 100 likes yet or what?
Surely, bro.
Surely the people want the poll.
Oh, we are. We are. We're at 110 likes. All right. We'll do it after this main event breakdown, but we are almost to the finish line. Almost 2 hours in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you haven't already, hit the like button for us. Make sure you follow James on all the socials because we're giving out some sauce right here. Appreciate you for coming on again, Lucrative, and giving the boys some sauce, some free sauce. But we got a main event to break down the rematch, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. In the first fight, Sean O'Malley was a slight favorite. Merab cashed as a slight underdog in a fight that everyone was, I was, at least personally, I was disappointed with how it played out. You know, I thought Sean O'Malley would put on a better performance. I thought Merab would do more to make it clearer in the judge's hands, but it was a clear win for Merab. At the end of the fight, I thought Merab fought very smart. He didn't put himself at risk in almost any scenario. And now coming into the rematch, Merab is a minus 265 favorite right now, based on where the odds are at this moment. I believe he's come down a little bit. And Sean O'Malley's at plus 225, where he has been at in his career, similar to the Petr Yan fight, similar to the Aljamain Sterling fight, where he did cash. Ultimately, I look at this one as a pretty clear market reaction to the last fight. Now, I'm not a guy that likes to look at rematches and say, the guy that lost is going to come back here and ultimately win the fight. But I just got to look at this as a value standpoint. And I think Sean O'Malley, as a plus 225 underdog, is going to give you chances to at least cash the ticket, because Merab's not a finisher. He's almost always going to go to decision. And Sean O'Malley can hit the knockout shot. But the first fight was 3 rounds to 2 on 2 of the judges' scorecards. Can I really rule out that Sean O'Malley wins a decision? I don't really think I can. And I think, on the feet, Sean O'Malley does have room to improve. I think in the takedown defense department, he has room to improve. Where does Merab have room to improve? I don't know. I don't see a ton of room for Merab to come out here and run away with this in this fight. So ultimately, I think it's O'Malley or pass. Maybe if Merab just goes down to a minus 150 or something, I don't really see that happening. But maybe you could get there. But at the current moment, Sean O'Malley at plus 225, I think is probably the side. What do you think?
Yeah, bro. Sentiment, your thoughts are aligning with exactly what I think, really. I mean, there's not too much more to add. Sean is long, rangy. We know he can hurt Merab now. We knew that pre-fight. We know that post-fight. In the 5th round of their last fight, Sean teeped him to the body. Merab was hurt, holding his stomach, looking up to the clock when there was like 3 minutes left. Who knows what would have happened, if that happened in a round earlier. Now it's 2-2 going into round 5. 2-2 going into round 5. And in my opinion, Sean had a poor performance in that fight. Like you said, room to improve on the Sean side for sure. He seemed like a little bit disinterested in that one. I don't know what it comes down to. I think a big part of this fight comes down to whether you believe Sean or not. Because I don't really believe Sean. I don't believe fighters when they say they have injuries and stuff like that. It's not that I don't believe them. It's just I've found out through my sports betting journey that if you listen to a lot of what some fighters have to say, you're going to start making bets based on that rather than based on your actual read of the fight, which is a bad way to go. You don't want to be listening to interviews too much and taking too much to what they have to say. But Sean basically said he had one hip going into that fight, right? His hip was completely torn. He actually had to have surgery after that fight. So I think that, to some degree, he was telling the truth. And you can kind of see it in the grappling, he's not really fighting to get back up to his feet the way he usually does. And if he just gets back up to his feet a little bit quicker or defends a few more takedowns, he probably wins the fight 3-2 via decision. I will say Merab's dominance in the grappling was very heavy. I know it was 3-2 on 2 judges' scorecards, but Merab dominated Sean O'Malley at points of that fight, and he made him look like a child. He really did, So I do want to say that. I'm not discrediting Merab's performance because I can cope, because I bet on Sean O'Malley. Bad bet. I can cope and say 3-2, 3-2, but in reality, Merab, at times made him look like a baby. And that does worry me here, because if he gets on top, Merab doesn't really control people. He's not really known as that. He was controlling Sean O'Malley on the ground, making him look like an amateur, toying with him, putting him in guillotine chokes and smiling at the crowd. It was not a good look for Sean O'Malley. Now, I will say that I do kind of believe some of what he says, about his injury and stuff. So we're going to see, man. I just feel like market overcorrection, just like you said, is true, man. Plus 225 on Sean O'Malley is value. He can knock out anyone on his day. He already took 2 rounds off Merab. He could potentially take another round off him. Merab's getting older now. He's at the pinnacle of the sport. In my opinion, he could have lost that last fight against Umar. It was a 50-50 fight. He's not unbeatable. He's not this unbeatable character who should be minus 300 against someone like Sean O'Malley, who's dangerous in every single round, carries his power late. I like Sean O'Malley here. Not super confident he wins. Super confident there's value on the line.
Completely agree. Because at the end of the day, I still respect Merab enough to where it's plus 225 on O'Malley. It looks great, but his opponent is probably the best bantamweight of all time when it comes down to resume. So I'm not going to go hard on it. And that's where, bankroll management comes in, how much you're going to lay on a certain bet comes in. And I'm not going to go hard on O'Malley, but I do think he's the side. So I'm going to throw something towards his way. But ultimately, I think the decision line on O'Malley I got it at plus 700. Right now it's plus 475. I think the decision line was just crazy. Because I remember the decision against Petr Yan, it was like plus 500 or something like that. And I was like, three rounds against Petr Yan? I think he could easily win 2 out of the 3 rounds. Not easily, but I think he has a much better chance of winning 2 out of the 3 rounds at plus 500 than, put Petr Yan at whatever it was, minus 110, something like whatever it was at the time. Merab's minus 200 to win a decision. So, you're talking about a guy that is the clear favorite by the sports books. How is he going to win? By decision. So his fight's probably going to go to decision. O'Malley could knock him out, but I think Merab probably has enough recoverability in him to make it to a decision. If he gets rocked with something, he could just dive on a leg, hold on to a leg. Is O'Malley going to be able to finish him from there? Probably not. So even at, the over 4.5 of minus 285, unless O'Malley just cold costs him with like some knee up the middle, I think the fight probably goes to decision. If you're going to give me plus 600, 700 on O'Malley by decision, I think that's a pretty dang good bet. I also like the plus 5.5 for O'Malley just because, he went to 3-2 without a hip. So I think there's something on there with the plus 5.5, but what are we at for the light count right now? Plus or 111. So we're Gucci there. I'm going to hit these chats real quick, but what do you want to do for this parlay? You want to do like a money line, a over under? You could just pick your side and then I could pick mine and 2 legs.
Yeah, bro. Whatever you want to do, bro. It's your show. I'm happy to do whatever. I could just chuck something out there.
All right, you think about it. I'm going to hit these chats real quick. We got your boy Jorik here again. He just DM'd you on Twitter about 1 year subscription. You're welcome, Jorik, for reading the chats, but I thank you for the $10 donos. We'll take that. Like O'Malley decision, says Rude One. Are these donation guys NPCs? I need to start streaming. You can start up your stream, bro. Go ahead. O'Malley needs scrambles. He does. Sean Whitting would be so goddamn good for the UFC. That is true. Rude One needs it. Yo, hope you sprinkle. Okay. Matty Betts with the 199 dono. Matty Betts to the chat. How we doing, brother? I'm ready for that long shots only on Friday. It's gonna be a movie. Maddie's been texting me all day about his cycle parlay. She is trying to get my input on it. I'm like, bro, I don't want to be the guy that sells you on this cycle parlay. I'll give you my thoughts, but he puts his opinion into it. He's not tailing any of my stuff, but he likes to hear my opinions. My Siberian starving. Is Sean Gilly live? What's the submission prop for Sean?
That's another Alex Pereira submission one.
Yeah. Sean O'Malley by sub is plus 2,800. And that's on Bet Online. So if you go to somewhere else, you might get like 30-1, 35-1, 40-1. Hercules is starving, he says. Hey, we got some money to make this Saturday, Maddie. So I think you'll be all right. You're on the cold streak, but there's brighter days ahead. Bro's been grappling every day. Maybe.
He's a good grappler, man.
He's not a bad grappler.
He's slick on the mat, bro.
And at least in this fight, Merab's gonna give him opportunities for it. So, is it the worst bet ever made? It's probably better than an Alex Pereira submission bet. I can tell you that.
Both of them never got a sub in the UFC, so it's about the same, bro. It has to happen at some point, yeah.
I think I've said this before, but UFC championship fights, have you ever seen guillotines? Like, very rare. You just never see them, bro. And
that means one is due.
Every Pereira fight, every O'Malley fight, Maddie's like, Pereira by guillotine. Sean O'Malley by guillotine. It's hilarious. All right. Parlay. before we hop out of here, what's the parlay going to be? You can give me your leg. I'm going to look for my leg right now, unless you don't have your leg, and then maybe we could talk through something.
I got it. I think I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley via submission plus 2,800. I know, I'm joking. I'll leave that one to Matty. But I do think I'm just going to go. Are we just doing money line? I think I'm just going to go Sean O'Malley to win, man. Fuck it. We're talking about Sean O'Malley. We've been on the fight for a while. Matty's on Sean O'Malley's sub. So if we hit the money line, Matty hits the sub as well. It's a party between everyone. Everyone's going wild. All the way from Auckland, New Zealand to Milwaukee to Florida or Vegas or wherever Matty is. And I think I'll just go with Sean O'Malley, bro. That's a big price.
I like it. All right, so we're going to pair Sean O'Malley at plus 225. That's the lucrative leg. And then we're going to go Joshua Van money line. No, I'm kidding. We're not going minus 700. We're going to go the under 2.5.
Oh.
It's not as out there as your Sean O'Malley pick, but we're going to go the under 2.5. Oh, Jesus.
We need a lock.
Did we lose it? We did not. Bet slip. Show me the bet slip. Maybe I got to drag this over here.
Maybe to the right. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So we got Sean O'Malley money line, under 2.5. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Saragih Spivac.
Nice.
Plus 437 parlay right there. So we get some violence. We get some violence with the big boys early on in the prelims. And then we got a plus 437 ticket on Sean O'Malley just to win the fight. And then we cash in.
Bro, we take that all day. As long as Waldo's going to knock out Sergey, and then we got plus 437 on Sean O'Malley. That's value, bro. That's value.
Easy. All right, brother. I appreciate everyone joining tonight on the live stream. The first ever guest in the Hey Jive Picks YouTube channel, Lucrative James. Go check him out on all the socials. You can shout out your socials right now before we head out of here. I don't know if I've given you that opportunity yet, but I'm going to give it to you now.
Yeah, bro. It's been a great show, man. 2 hours, 12 minutes. We've flown by.
Like I said, bro, very much appreciative that you brought me on for your first ever guest. Hopefully, we gave some winning picks to the people. Hopefully, our parlay cashes. And I got to get you on my show, Parlay Madness, soon, bro. Maybe next week or the week after or something. We kind of preliminary spoke about it. So you guys can catch Hey Jive on Parlay Madness coming up soon. Definitely looking forward to that one. And that's it, man. You know where to find me, Lucrative James. Nothing more to say, bro. Just appreciate it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. And let's catch these tickets.
Yeah, Lucrative's YouTube channel is tagged in the description of the YouTube video right now, or the YouTube live. He's got his Parlay Madness show on Thursdays, I believe it is. Thursdays. Yeah. Thursday nights, if you're in the U.S., that's what, Friday morning or afternoon for you. But Thursday nights, if you're in the U.S., check that out. Great show. I'll be on there soon. We didn't want to do both this week just because we've been talking about the same stuff. So I'll probably be on there next week. UFC Atlanta card I'm going to. But this Saturday, we got UFC 316. Appreciate y'all for joining on the live stream tonight. And good luck to y'all. Hopefully we gave you some sauce, and hopefully we can make some money. Peace.